But on the net wrap itself, okay, these strings here that go around the bale and hold the bale together, those are called franzies. That's a knitting term. So if grandma knitted sweaters, you know what you're talking about, okay? The zigzags, you don't need to know the names of them, but the zigzags, that's called swooshes. All the strength is in the long ones that go around, that's what holds your bale together. The swoosh is pretty weak, okay? The swoosh has a pattern in it. The way that zigzag is woven into the franzi is a pattern. So when you guys are selling edge-to-edge net, John Deere's got edge-to-edge net or cover edge net, the way that's woven in there is part of this pattern that makes edge-to-edge or cover edge. See how it almost looks like a little triangle right now? But when the baler puts the stretch on that net, it does kind of pop into a real triangle. And it's called the way the swoosh releases. Okay, the patent is on how that releases. The only job of that swoosh is to space those franzies out across the face of your baler. So on a John Deere baler, the net will always go edge to edge because of the way this releases, or cover edge, okay? Every bale, every day, every place. Edge to edge, cover edge. Right down the road someplace, I saw some bales all lined up, must be a hay auction right by here somewhere or something. Okay, there's 4 or 5 rows of white net on bales. So you don't have to believe me on this, okay? You can just go over there and look. But the white net is about this far away from the edge of the bale. On almost every one of those bales, I was going 60 miles an hour, so I don't know for sure. But if you go look at the bales, you can see this yourself driving down the highway. The white net will be this far away from the end of the bale, okay? The swoosh is not made the same way. So it doesn't go edge to edge like this. Where we all get in trouble, you guys have sold this guy edge to edge or cover edge net for 4 or 5 years. He sees an ad from the Farm and Fleet store or Orscheln's or somebody, and they got a roll of net that's $40 cheaper. I think I'm gonna try that. So he puts that net in this baler. Now he's run about halfway through that roll, and now he's realizing that net's not going to the edge anymore, like it used to, or it's not going over the edge. He doesn't go back to Orscheln's. He calls down here. They send you out to adjust his baler to fix that net. It's not going out to the edge anymore. Okay? There's no adjustment. You can't play with anything on here to make that net go out to the edge of that baler. It's in the net. Okay? That's the way the swoosh is woven in there. So there's nothing you can fix it. What we do sometimes is if you didn't call DTAC, people decide, well, I think I can fix that. They start playing with this roll pressure adjustment here. And what we think is, if I make that tighter, maybe it'll scoop that net, spread that net out wider. But if I make it tighter, the net has a tendency to come right back around with the rubber roll, and it starts wrapping the rubber roll every time. Okay? So that's why when you put the roll of John Deere net in, it made that much difference. And that's what we tell you in detail. Put a roll of John Deere net in there, see if it goes back to edge or cover edge. You just have to tell the guy you got to buy a different net, or live with what he's got. Okay? And what we're trying to tell you upstairs was, a lot of times Rex was saying, if you buy your net in November and December, and you get the best buy from your dealership to the customer, and then they get a $25 or $10 rebate from us for every roll they buy, sometimes in that time of year, John Deere net is the same price as cheap net. So they're not saving any money by buying cheap net. We put more feet on a roll than anybody else too. So customers always want to know how many feet are on a roll of net. A lot of the competitive people don't tell you how many feet are on a roll of net. Okay, it's just a roll of net. But most of them will have about 70 on a 5-foot wide baler. I work with those mostly, so I know the numbers good. But on the 5-foot wide balers, most of the competitors have 7,000 feet, maybe 8, a few. But we have 9,000. So if you figure out the price per foot, sometimes John Deere net is the same price as cheap net. So it's not that we're really overpriced. It's just how people perceive it. When they go by a roll price, they don't figure out the price per foot. They're paying more money. I was just in Southern Illinois, and guys were paying more money for cheap net than they could buy John Deere net. They didn't. No one ever told them how to figure out the price per foot. They didn't know. They just thought they were getting a hell of a buy. And you could have bought the same roll of John Deere at 9,000 feet, would have saved them money, actually. So anyway, swoosh, that's a patent, okay? On cover edge. I don't know if that's really how you say it, but it sounds nice. On cover edge, the outside string on each end. Have you all seen this before? This is part of a pattern too. That's like a rubber band. Stretches and snaps right back. That's what holds your cover edge net over the edge of the bale and holds it tight over the edge of the bale. So that's what makes a difference in cover edge, okay? A lot of times the guy will say, well, I can buy some of this 51-inch net from me. It's just like John Deere. It's 51 inches wide. That part's the same. But it doesn't have this, and it doesn't have the pattern in the switch. And that's what makes your net different, okay? One other thing that makes net a little bit different, and this might have been what's getting that guy wrapping the rubber roll, okay? When this is all being knitted, remember I said there's all these strings going all over? The knitting hooks that actually knit this all together are turning really fast, okay? It turns fast enough, it creates heat and can melt the plastic when in friction. So they have to add a little oil to the net, okay? So it doesn't melt the net. Come over here and put that in your hand, squeeze on it. Okay, if he sits there and squeezes that for a while, that net still feels dry. Okay, if you stood there 5 minutes going like that, it's still going to feel dry to you. A lot of competitive nets have a little more oil in them. Okay, so if you stood there for 5 minutes with some of the other nets and went like that, pretty soon it's going to feel like you got lotion on your hand or something.
That's almost what it looked like. When it stopped, it just kept right on slipping and spinning.
Yeah, oily net doesn't work. Okay, well, we've been there. I mean, that's how y'all started the same way.
I looked at it and I said, I know what it's doing.
Yeah.
It's too slippery.
Yeah. An easy way to tell if the guy's got oily net, because you can do it. He's doing it. Huh?
You can feel it.
Yeah. If you keep squeezing for a long time, this oily net will get real slimy. But if you just take the roll of net out and look at this rubber roll, see how this one's kind of dusty looking? If you take a roll of that competitive net out, set back here, and that roll is black, like his shirt, like you armor rolled it, like a new baler.
Yeah.
If it's black like that, that's a good sign of oily net.
I even baby powdered it.
Yeah.
I baby powdered it with that stuff, and it still kept me spinning. And it said, it's not the rolls, it's the
You can't compensate for oily net. So that's another thing that gets you in trouble. So you don't want oily net. Competitive nets, that was a patent a long time ago. It's not anymore. Okay? How the net was oiled. So that's something that you gotta just watch. Sometimes if they have a roll up here, the plastic sleeve is still on it, it's been in there a while, you'll see the sleeve is a little discolored. It'll be kind of clear, transparent up here, and the bottom will be a little yellow looking. I've actually seen oil in the bag. But oily net has a tendency to slip to the middle of the roll or wrap the rubber roll. That's oily net. That's why John Deere net should not do that to you. Okay? All right. Y'all know about the dark green stripes? Why we put these bands in there, different colors. Okay, those are so you can tell right from left. The whitest stripes of the net. Okay, now this has got a single stripe on this roll, but some of them will have two white stripes. So the whitest stripes always go in the baler to the right on a John Deere baler. That way when I go to thread this into the baler, the net's coming off the roll the right way and it will work. If you put the net in backwards, it will not work. Okay? We get probably 10 rolls a year that you send it back to us and say the net won't come off the roll. Something sticky or something that won't feed. Okay? In DTAC, we can almost always tell you when hay season started. Okay? Because our first 4 or 5 DTAC cases is the net will not feed in the baler. Our question is, does he have it in the baler the correct way? And you say, yep, he's been baling for 40 years. When you get out of the field,
I heard man did it.
yeah, the roll's in backwards. We just forget, okay? So if you get, somebody brings a roll of net in here and they say it won't unwind, just set it down on the floor. And if you do that and it's unwinding, there ain't nothing wrong with that roll of net. He probably just had it in backwards. Now, if they're using John Deere net in competitive balers, it comes off the roll the opposite way. So the right is left in the New Holland baler. So they got to know how it works in their baler, okay? But in John Deere balers, white stripes always go to the right, okay? You can see if that unwinds. So we'll get 4 or 5 brand new rolls, just like that, put back in the bag, send back home, and we give them to a local farmer, and he makes 175 bales, and that's how he done. Happy as hell, okay? So white stripe goes to the right. Here's, we're just walk through threading this up because it's easy. I don't know if y'all have threaded up a baler before. Salesman, if you're selling John Deere balers, this is something that's much better than the competitors. The New Holland, you know, their net wraps up front. You gotta get it on your shoulder, 90 pounds, shove it on the floor. Premier's a lot harder to load up. John Deere is very easy to load up, okay? When you go to thread it up, come around to the sides of that. Well, first, let me do this. I'll make this is gonna be that way. Yeah, this is now where I ripped out a minute ago. That's too big to rip. Every now and then you'll get a roll of net that looks like kind of like this. Just sitting here like this. See how those tears are in it? Just how it got cut off or something like that. So I go to thread this up. You'll see in a minute. I get this part of this net stuck between the two rollers, ready to wrap bale. But this little tail out here may be shorter than this, but I don't get it in the baler, okay? So as soon as this net starts to feed in the baler, this part starts going in really fast, this instantly. It takes about a turn, or half a turn maybe, of the roll before this little tail that I didn't get stuck in there to grab. Every bale this guy makes, every day from now on, will be a right piece, is going to split just like this, okay? This cover edge part is missing. It's not on his baler. It's going to be on the number 8 roller in the baler where the spreader ring is, or up at the very top of the baler on the number 11 roller. All he knows is, you sold me cheap net because this cover edge is missing on every baler. Okay? So, it's real easy to fix. All you have to do is stop, get the roll out here, unthread it. When I thread this up, when I pull the net off to thread it up, I want to make sure the net, this outside string on each end is coming with me. Okay? So I want to make sure it's coming off the full width of the roll. So you need to pull off enough net that you see that everything's coming with you. Okay? So right now, if I thread that up, I got to get past this little tear. Okay? So I want it to be that much. All right? And then I thread it up. Does that make sense? We get this a lot. We get a lot of rolls returned back that the cover edge is missing one side or the other. Okay? So what happens is, I'll show you exactly what happened. The guy's missing this cover edge. Dang it, that's making me mad. What's your name?
Amber.
Amber sold me a bunch of cheap net, but the cover edge is missing. So he takes this roll out, puts it down on the ground, and he takes the storage roll from up here, puts it down in. And he threaded it up, and it just gave, it didn't have a little tear in it or whatever, and he got full width in it. So it's working like a champ. That roll must be done. Comes down here, gives it back to you. You say, okay, I'll give you another roll. You give him another roll. You call us, send it back. We get that roll at home. Larry Rose looks at it. Goes like this. I don't see anything wrong with it. He gives it to you, the local farmer. He puts it in his baler, runs the rest of that roll out just like a champ. What did we do? The only thing we did was that first guy unthreaded it. The second guy threaded it up, and he got it in there far enough that that tear wasn't showing. Or Larry may have cut it off and cut it straight and it was working. So all you got to do to fix that is re-thread the baler.
Sure.
Okay? Go ahead and cut that off over there. You knew I was looking for a knife, didn't you? Take that home with you. So I just didn't want to have that much to show you, make you think you had to have that. When I go to thread it up, I just pull a little bit off. I see it's coming off full width of the roll. Okay? Take it, you drop it down between the frame and the rubber roll. Get a hold of the tail, flip this up on the way, like that. And then just give this a tug just to make sure the net's tight on the roll. Run your hand kind of up there close to the steel roller, and you're just going to twist it over itself a time or two like you're making a piece of rope. You don't have to tie a great big knot or a great big wad, just roll it over. And then take your thumb and just push that right in between the rubber roll and the steel roll. Okay? I'm going to ratchet this brake handle. When I move this handle up and down, those rolls pivot just a little tiny bit. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and I lock it on the 4th one. Take your pocket knife. Take the pocket knife, cut that tail off down away from the rubber roll about 1 inch. Just like that. Close the lid. We're ready to go bale head. That's all you had to do to thread up a John Deere baler. Okay? Is that how y'all do it? Yes? No? Never done it? Okay. If you ever do it, that's how I want you to do it. That's how John Deere wants you to do it. learn to use this brake handle. When I do that, I'm just putting just a little bit of net between those two rolls. Okay? So you don't want to pinch too much net in there. If you get too much net in there, it causes the net to wrap the rubber roll. So when you thread it up and you learn to use that brake handle, you won't put too much net in. Okay?
You can put it on the bottom side of the knife too.
And you can put it over the top, actually, but yeah, so it doesn't cut off. Right, so this to show you, look in here. Somebody got the real thin line caught right. Shoot that right in there, you can see the front of the rubber roll and steel roll, and look out there towards the middle. You see that sticking out in the middle? Yeah. Just a tiny bit, right? Yeah. Look in there, everybody. Rex, you grab that 15 millimeter on the table. Sit there. That door makes it a little bigger hole. So. All right, now, I just got a little bit pinched in there. A lot of customers, for some reason, I don't know where this all got started, and I can tell you this, it's worse in the eastern half of the United States than it is the western half of the United States. So I don't know if New Holland's bigger out here, so I can say that. Guys will take those rolls and turn them by hand instead of reaching over and doing that brake. So if you turn a roll like this, that motion right there, you're going to put too much net in there. But we've asked some guys, and customers have been here, or do you do it by hand? They go, yeah, I go like this about 3 times. If you do that, you're going to put too much net in there. If you see a farmer's got a 15 millimeter wrench in his back pocket like this right here, what he does is everything like I just showed you, and he comes over here to the drive pulley, put the 15 millimeter wrench right on here. Okay, so if you want to look, take a look. You teach them not to do this. So if I come back here, you got to do it. I'm mad at you. This is a no way to do it. Okay. Now I got a little bit stuck in there now, so I've cheated you a little bit. But if you give this just a quarter of a turn, just like this. Now that's just kind of sitting here, and that's just. Now if you go in there and look over there now, you'll see that the net is laying on top of that counter knife like you're talking about. See it? Okay. Now, when this goes to wrap my very first bale off of this roll, this actuator extends, this arm comes up, that's the counter knife piece he was talking about. That counter knife comes up, that hits that net. That net can go up, or it can go over the top. If it goes up, I'm gonna put 42 feet of net wrap around this rubber roll in 6 seconds, okay? If it goes over the top, now it's on the wrong side of the knife, so it's time to cut off. It won't get cut off, it'll be stuck to the bale. So he kicks the bale out, it rolls out here, there's still net hooked to the baler, the gate's open. He doesn't have mirrors on his tractor, he closes the gate, he takes off driving. About halfway through the next bale, he sees this great big flag of net wrap going all out there. It was a beautiful sight.
No, we love to see it.
And Rex loves it because they just wasted a whole bunch of net wrap, but it's still hooked to this bale clear back here. Okay, so it didn't cut off. So if somebody ever tells you guys at the parts counter, about the only time I have trouble with my baler, that net you sold me, is when I put a new roll in, it always wraps the rubber roll. If he does that, you almost automatically know he's doing this, or he's doing this. If you use that brake handle, you can make that go away pretty much 100% of the time.
What is
Okay.
it, the German baler's got a hook. You gotta go down and past it to get the brake on.
Yeah, the 582, yep. And that just keeps that from popping loose someday. I kinda like that hook.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
These here makes you wonder.
If they ever stay last or not last, yeah. That's the European John Deere baler he's talking about. Now in New Holland, when you thread it up, you gotta have a little tool, stuff it up into the duck bill.
Scott said you had a little push.
Yeah, a little flat bottom,
Yeah.
you
You
shoved
bet.
up in there.
Yeah. And this John Deere's a lot easier, that's all I can tell you, okay? But this is a real common thing. Y'all know about baby powder, right? Have you heard about baby powder?
They kind of quit that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yes, you don't, this little jar of baby powder right here. Yeah, it's wired right here. That little jar of baby powder is probably a lifetime supply of baby powder, okay? So what baby powder will do is, well, like manufacturing, that roll is actually turned on a lathe like, and it cuts the rubber down to the right diameter. And so it's got the machining and everything on it. So this baby powder is just, you're supposed to dress it up with this baby powder, okay? In the old days, when the balers had 2 rubber rolls in there, if the weather was just right, they'd build up a little static electricity once in a while. And if they had static electricity, the net would wrap a rubber roll. So the baby powder would cut down on that static electricity and covered it up. Well, now you got one rubber and one steel, and don't get static electricity near as often, so you don't need this like you used to, okay? I'm talking like a 535 or 435, 6 versus the okay. If you got a customer that will tell you, I got a bigger jug than you got. I got a 55-gallon barrel of baby powder, and every time I put a roll in there, I throw it up all over everything. He's got problems. Okay, the baby powder will hide something for just a short little bit, and then it's either going to be wrapped in a rubber roll again, and all that stuff comes right back. And so if a guy's using tons of baby powder, he's got other issues. He needs to bring that baler in here, and we need to get it adjusted, or go out and field adjusted. Okay, because baby powder is, you don't need it. So like this is a pretty new baler, but it's a new baler. Okay. So if I'm going to powder this roll up on a new baler, I'm going to burn the shop around. Take this baby powder and just sprinkle it on there like that. And take a clean shop rag, because you got grease and oil all over your hands because you've been working on everything. Just take that shop rag and kind of just rub that in. See, I'm kind of turning that roll to gray. Turn it a little bit. And that's all you need to do. And really, once you do this on a new baler, maybe once a year they might do this. And that's about all you ever need. Sometimes you don't do it ever again. Okay? But if they're going through big jugs of this, and don't use planter talc. Use baby powder. Planter talc, when it's real humid out, I don't know if you get that humid up here, but if it gets really humid, sometimes planter talc will get real sticky, and it will cause the rubber roll to wrap because the powder's sticky. So that's kind of, see, I just blended that in. That's all you need. That little jar lasts me a long time. Okay? So that's the powder to do this. I should have left that in there. Here I go. Number one thing that makes net wrap and rubber roll, okay, is this brake over here on this arm. So if you've not seen it, come over here. Parts people can sell a lot of these brake pads. The rest of us, we were talking about this a little bit this morning, right? We've got it. This brake pad right here, the company that made that brake pad went out of business. We already talked about it, I guess. But the rubber compound in there has changed. It's not as good today as it was 20 years ago, okay? We're working on trying to make it as good, but we just haven't got there yet. So old balers, this brake pad would last thousands of bales. Tens of thousands of bales, probably. The new ones maybe last thousands of bales, okay? But that brake is supposed to stop this rubber roll from turning when it's ready to cut off. Stop this shield, okay? It's like right now. It's just like the brake pads in your pickup truck. They're going to get worn, you don't stop as fast. So that's what happens here. So you can adjust this brake pad, I'll show you all that. But when you get called to the field, now this is a guy that's wrapped a rubber roll. Everybody knows a John Deere baler, 7, 8, or 9 series. We'll get there someday. Okay, every single guy.
I carry one on my truck.
I would too. If you work on balers and you go to the field, I'd have one of those with me, probably 2 of them. Because I'm probably going to do it more than once. But that brake pad has got to stop it from turning. If it doesn't, the rubber roll keeps turning just that much longer, but it feeds more net into the baler after it's been cut off. So that same little piece that we saw laying in there, you'll have net laying on top of the counter knife. So when the counter knife comes up, it can go over the top again, or it can push it up and wrap the rubber roll. So this guy may have, everything's been working good for 2 years, 3 years, whatever. And all of a sudden today, they've called in here and he's wrapped the rubber roll 2 or 3 times. This is probably what you're going to do, okay? So when I get to the field, when this call comes in, just get out of your truck, come over to this side, open this same door we just opened up, okay? Now there's no net in there, so you can't see it now. But when you remember how you saw the steel roller and the rubber roll? When you look at that steel roller, say my arm is that steel roller. When you look in there, that net ought to be wrapped tight around that steel roller like this. If that brake is not holding, then that net will be all puffed away towards the belts, towards the front of the baler like that. And you see that big poofiness in there? You know right now the brake needs to be adjusted. So you're going to come right over here. Most of the balers will be 2 shims in right there. You have an extra one back here. That's what we're kind of laughing about up there, about putting 4 shims on it and stuff this morning. You can take this shim off the back, put it in there, shim the pad, tighten the shim, tighten the brake. Pretty easy. These will get grooves more in them from the shim, and you just need to replace them. Someday they just need to be replaced. Yeah, if it's Sunday afternoon, the farmer can flip it over maybe or run it some more, but Monday you got to come buy a new pad. Okay?
Steel on steel.
Sorry?
Brake pads that put little spoilers, so on steel on steel, you can replace them.
Yeah. If it's rubbing steel to steel, they're way past the point of doing it. Okay? You'll see stuff like that. Honest to God. Okay? So that just needs to be replaced. Okay? That's the number one thing that makes a net wrap the rubber roll if he hasn't had a lot of issues before. Right there. Now, if you're real scientific and you have a needle type torque wrench that we're talking about today, you put that on there like that, and it should take 40 to 70 pounds to make that shiv slip against that brake pad. So if I start to pull it, now when you've been running the Baler, there's a little friction there, that shiv gets hot, so it'll be a little higher then. On this Baler, by the time that starts to slip, where are we at? Right there. That needle's reading, that number. 40. So we're kind of right at the bottom of the spec, but we're okay. If it's hot, it'd probably be 60 or something. But this, you can use a torque wrench to check it, okay? But we're out in the field. We saw that loop, and I don't have a torque wrench, okay, with me. Here's there's a fast, easy way. When I go to latch this brake handle, see how easy that is? I didn't put any effort into that at all. It ought to be,
Push pretty hard.
yeah, like that, okay? So as that torque gets lower, that gets really easier to latch. So if they can walk out there, you get out to the field and you just go like this, it's probably time to add a shim there, okay? Every Baler's a little bit different. I said most of them have 2. They just set them up, put 2 in the factory. Sometimes you might need 3. Sometimes they might only need 1. Okay? Because you don't need to check it till you get to the field, maybe make a few bales. But I have went to the field, you were talking about steel on steel. I went to the field with a torque wrench like this, put that on there like that, and that just spun around. That's on the way. That guy's going to wrap a rubber roll, I guarantee you. Okay. All right. That all makes sense? Okay.
I've been telling customers to take the brake off when they're not baling.
You know, that's a good idea. Like all winter, just release the brake, let it set. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a good idea. Actually, yesterday we had one that was really brand new Baler from the factory, and it was really tight. Remember how hard it was to latch? It actually had imprints from the ship, so that whenever it got built to here, it already imprinted that ship. So yeah, it's not a bad idea. In fact, it's a good idea. If they haven't run the Baler between cuttings, sometimes it's okay to come out here and take this ratchet handle and move it once. The net can get embedded between the rubber and steel roll, can stick to the rubber roll, and if I ratchet that one time, that'll pop that loose, and then I'll ratchet that. Okay, so that's not a bad idea either. All right, so now we're going to say we're having lots of trouble. Okay, that's pretty easy right there, and you can see how it all happens. When you go to a Baler, a used Baler, and the guy's having all kinds of trouble putting that rubber roll, I don't know if did you guys have, how long have you been here, a long time?
466, did we have that?
No, about the end of the 7s and the first part of the 8s. All the old guys my age at the factory, everybody's retired. All the guys I started with, everybody left. So a bunch of new people came in. So there was a couple years there, maybe not a couple years, but a year, let's say, where the factory kind of lost control of some of these adjustments. New people were making the net wrap unit, and they, were somewhere told I can put a gap here or do this here, and you do it this much, well, this much got changed, and got too much or not enough. And so we had Balers out there, probably the first year or second year of the H series, that, man, they did wrap the rubber roll. They might do it every 10 bales, and they'd wrap the rubber roll. And then you come out and work on it a little bit, 10 bales later, they'd wrap the rubber roll again. If you ever seen those, most of those have been fixed by now. If somebody comes in here and tells you he's having a heck of a time, in fact, I quit using net wrap. It doesn't even work. It wraps that rubber roll every time I use it. if you ever hear that, and you're the guy that's gonna have to fix it, the book that we're gonna give you at the end of the day here is a net wrap helpful hints book. You go to open that up and you look at the net wrap and the rubber roll section, and there'll be the first thing is a little page that shows you about 11 different adjustments. You have to do all 11 of those on that baler. Okay? You can't just fix the brake pad and say, I got him fixed. That'll fix it for 100 bales, but then he's wrapping the rubber roll. You've got to just stop, go through the whole thing, and fix it. It doesn't take you a long time, but you got to go to all 11 steps. Okay? If you don't, you're going to come right back. That's why that guy ain't using it. Most of those, there's actually even a PIP, so most of those got handled. But if you ever see somebody that's having this much trouble, then we're going to do the stuff we're going to do right now. Okay? All right. So this guy's having all kinds of stuff while I'm coming out there. I spend about 30 seconds on looking at things. Okay? So one of the first things I do is just open, well, you need to bait it. I just stop. I stand right back here in the back, and I look at the back of this baler. If you see strings of net hanging out the bottom of it, okay, on a 7, 8, or 9 series baler, I walk up, there's 20 of these strings hanging down. It might be this long. If I see that, I know this baler is not cutting the net off the way it's supposed to. On a 7, 8, or 9, it ought to be clean like that right there. Now, if you see one string hanging down, I'm not worried about it. If you see 10, 20, 30 of them hanging out there, that may be cutting the net the way it's supposed to. That leads me to 3 things so I can adjust, okay? One is this brake torque is low, so it's not stopping it, it's actually pulling the net. Instead of cutting it off, it's pulling it out. So I know that's probably bad. I know the cutoff knife inside there, the edge could be dull, or the gap, there's an angle iron swings. Have you all seen all this inside there? Okay, the angle iron comes down over the bevel knife, and it's kind of like a pair of scissors. It's not really a good pair of scissors, but it's like a pair of scissors. So the gap between them is pretty tight, 3/1000 of an inch, so it squeezes the net between them. If something happened to that gap, somebody did something or it wasn't set right to start with, that's like running a pair of scissors when you're a little kid in kindergarten. Okay? And then you got better scissors and cut knife. So the counter knife may not be set right. Cutoff knife could be dull, or the brake's not open. But I know I got to do something because those tails. Tails get me in a lot of trouble. Tails with strings, get fed backwards and wrap around the rubber roll. Makes all my net go around the rubber roll. The tails can work out to the outside. They get caught on the spirals and spread your net out. So it's wider in the baler. Wraps the spirals all over. As the nets go down in the baler, if these strings are all leading down into the baler, they can get caught on the belts, diamond thread, splices, and rollers, and then it causes splits in my net wrap. So I don't want those tails. Old balers don't want those tails. They work good. Okay? Big changes in the baler between the 7s and the older ones ahead. So I don't want to see any tails. So I know I got a couple adjustments I need to look at. Other thing I do real quick is look right over here. Come on over this way. This little idler right here, I always look at that nut. Okay? I don't care how old this baler is or how new it is, I look at that nut right there. If there's been a wrench on this nut, I know I probably got to make another adjustment. Okay? It doesn't take a farmer very long to figure out something's wrong with this baler. Okay? The way the net's feeding in, or the way it feeds in is this idler, the actuator extends, the idler comes up and makes this belt tight. Okay? That turns that shiv, that drives that rubber roll, feeds the net in the baler. They figure that out real fast. They keep wrapping the rubber roll. Something's not feeding right. So they just get looking. Oh, what about this idler?
Most people, that's what they would say.
Yeah. Look at the slot right there. See where all your adjustment is? It's all up. So they look in there and they go, holy cow, that thing must have slipped back. That's my trouble. So they'll loosen this up and they start sliding this idler up. You start sliding up, you're going exactly the wrong way. Okay? You start sliding this up, and now this idler engages this belt too quickly, too soon. The counter knife in there is not up out of the way at all. In fact, if they go far enough, the net can't even go in the baler. The leg of the angle iron is hanging down between the rubber roll and the steel roll. That net sheet's in there just like hitting that wall right there. The door's shut. So this slides right up, and all of a sudden it's all wrapped around the rubber roll. if you ever go to Haymaster and on the last day, when you're making your bale and that keeps wrapping rubber roll, probably I'll look right here.
They used to do that.
We used to do things like that to it, so you would find out, figure that out. This, I can make that rubber roll wrap right now, just by moving that idler. So once he plays with this idler, he's already got it screwed up. Okay, so he may have created his own problem. So if you see wrench marks on there, we know we gotta do something. So I just do this fast little walk, just notice things. It gets me a sequence of how to do it. Once you get used to this, if you work on a lot of balers, you can take a job that you might do the same thing over 2 or 3 different times. You can do it where you do it all at one time and you're done in 45 minutes instead of 2.5 hours, okay? So those are the kind of things you just look at quick, all right? So let's say that we see there's been a wrench on here. And this is the other thing. The net break causes the wrap rubber roll. If this is misadjusted, it's gonna wrap a rubber roll. Okay, you got a really good chance. Or the net goes over the top of the counter knife again and it won't cut off. So see how that's all kind of related, all of the same stuff? So let's check this adjustment. If anybody ever changes this belt, this is a really good belt. It's a Kevlar reinforced belt. People won't hardly ever mess with it. But if they do, you have to set this idler to the new belt. Okay, so somebody had to adjust this. Customers don't read the operator's manual, they just put a new belt on there, and now it doesn't work anymore. You guys at the parts counter, the only place you get this belt is at the John Deere store. Okay? In the book I gave you, the part number will be in there.
But it's Sunday.
Gates, it's Sunday.
And they had to go to the automotive
Yeah,
stuff.
and you know what? Gates has got a Match Plus belt that's just about like it, except it doesn't have Kevlar in it. So in about 2 bales, this belt's already starting to stretch. Now all this stuff's going out of whack again on me. So this is a really good belt. I don't know how much it costs. I'm sure it costs a lot of money, but the only place you get it is at this store. Okay?
You gotta adjust that, little pulley if you adjust the nut stretch,
The
shims?
No, you shouldn't have to if you adjust the brake setting. No, you shouldn't.
No, the
Oh.
nut stretch.
Oh, net stretch, yes. Yes, you should. Always come back and check because you're changing where that belt's riding in that shiv. This is an adjustable shiv, and do you mess with net stretch a little bit?
Wasn't it a year or so ago we had that issue?
Yeah, a couple balers,
Okay.
that stretch.
Well, here, did you count them on?
Yeah.
Do you know which way it was? I'm not questioning you. I'm asking because I want to know.
I almost think,
Was it too tight or not tight
I
enough?
think it was too tight.
Okay. And did you count the swishes on the bale?
Shushes, I didn't know they were shushes at the
Okay.
time.
This net, well, the only reason I'm asking you is because every once in a while, they do mess this up. This shiv will almost always have 2 little paper thin shivs in the inside. And that's good. In the old days, not too long ago, the edge to edge net did not stretch the same as cover edge net stretched. Okay? So when we first introduced the 7 Series baler, we told you if you're gonna run edge to edge in a cover edge baler, that you needed to adjust this net stretch because the old net didn't stretch like cover edge. Today, they're both pretty much the same on the elongation and all that, so you shouldn't have to play if you switch back and forth. But if you somebody's having a net like breaking or blowing up, you might want to check that net stretch just to see. You can just take this apart and see if there's 2 shivs in there, or if there's none, or 1, or 4. Somebody messed up and they put the shiv in, and that can happen. Okay, but yeah, you'll want to do the same thing over there. It's an adjustable shiv, is what it is. It belts it right, higher or farther down. Okay, but anyway, when you go to make this adjustment, we gotta square it away, right? Gotta get my Sharpie. So come on over here on this side. If I see the ridge bit on there, that's the way. Okay? Not there. We're going right back to the same one. This is the hardest thing to describe to you on the telephone. Okay? We tell you, go over to this, the left hand side of the baler, and look in here and you'll see a little notch. Well, where the hell is this notch you're talking about? Then you try to explain what's in the side sheet, where that roller. It's real hard to tell you where it is, okay? But what we're talking about is this little cutout right here. See that? Shine your light right on there. Yeah, right in here, that little cutout, that's the notch, okay? So when this actuator extends, that idler engages the belt, this counter knife, this angle iron piece here, should come up so high, okay? And then that's, we know we got it set right. So that's so high, if you take a scale and measure down from the top of this notch, 10 millimeters, and make a mark, okay? So that's all we're gonna do right now. You wanna do it? Thanks. Shine your light back in there. Can't see it. No, it's 10 millimeters is right there. Okay, so just make a mark with a Sharpie, just like that, okay? Now, I can do this in the field, real easy. The guy goes and makes a bale. When he's getting ready to wrap it, just come over by me, and I'm gonna open this door and watch this actuator extend and everything. But this, like I said, this should come up and go up there. So I'm gonna make, you can do this in the shop, same way. You want to do it, Rexy? Channel 19, turn that key on. It should come, the monitor's back here in the back. But freeze right in that little turn it. Y'all know about how to get all these channels and everything in here? Some of you do, some of you don't. We'll work on that later. Channel 19. Channel 19 is how we check voltage and everything, and I can make the actuators move. I know you can do it on other buttons, but we like channel 19, so we just always tell you 19.
That's for amp draw though, isn't it?
Yeah, 19 is check the voltage, 18 is for the amp. Yep. Yep. So just go to 19. Now, I'll show you how to do this in a minute. We'll do more on that. Channel 19. Now, I'm going to hit the extend button here, and that actuator will extend. So nobody stand right close to anything. Hold on. So when I extend, you'll see that. Hold on. I'm entwined now. Let me get the net. Okay, now I got to start over here. Hold on 1 second. Oh, I wish I'd left that alone. I can show you a really good one. All right, now I'm going to hit the extend, so be careful. Now, if you see that angle iron, it should come up to my mark.
Pretty close.
Pretty close. Is it past my mark or below?
Below.
Okay. I'm not a fan of being below 10. Okay. The spec in the operator's manual can tell you can draw that mark at 10 to 16 millimeters below that notch. Forget the 16. It's only 10. Okay. So if it's below it, we're going to make an adjustment. Okay. So I'm going to run this back home. We're going to slide that idler down. Oh, that's a 14 millimeter. I don't have one. Okay, in the car I got one. There's tools out here. Yeah. Come on, guys. Just grab the 14. Okay, so I'm going to retract that now. Y'all see where that is, though? Okay. So that off? This one off? Yeah. I think the factory must have started to set them a little closer to 16 again. This is the second one that's been like that.
I got a dumb question.
The reason I don't like 16.
I got a dumb question. This is a brand new baler.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm just saying. I think this factory is starting to set them in the 10 to 16 range, and for a long time we had them convinced to, yeah. So I really like the 10, because I can come up past that mark. It doesn't hurt, as long as it doesn't hit that notch. Okay, so I want it to come up here. The 16 is about a ½ inch. And the leg of that angle iron, it might be just low enough at 16 where the net can just kind of hit it once in a while. So I don't want that net to touch that angle iron. If it touches that angle iron, it's probably going to wrap it around the roll. So I don't want to even touch it. So I'd rather see you be at the 10 than the 16. Okay? So all you got to do is loosen that idler up and just tap it down in the slide. So he's going to change the position of that idler. Okay? We're going down. Don't go up.
Originally, you shouldn't do that with a new bell handler, should you?
Oh, you can check it in the shop if you want to. I wouldn't get too crazy about it one way or the
Because it's
other.
going to stretch.
It will a little bit, but not a lot. That Kevlar in there is not supposed to really, the overall length's not supposed to change very much. So yeah, you can do this. I do this in the field mostly. Just make a mark there, and then the guys wrapping the bale, I just stand here and watch it go, and if it comes pretty close to that mark, I'm not going to worry about it. But what you'll find if they move that idler, that angle iron's coming up clear down in here somewhere. And you go up in the slot, it gets lower. And that leg is hanging down, then it's going to wrap the net on the rubber rail. That makes sense?
You got it wrong, right?
I thought that.
It's 15.
It is a 15?
Yeah.
I got one in my pocket. I always thought it was something different. Try that. We like to mess up on nuts and bolts just to keep it. Half of them are standard, half of them are metric. So just knock it down just a little bit, just a tap.
I did already stick a lot of it.
All right, then we'll run it up again. So once you might have to change this item just like we're doing. Okay, got it? So we're gonna go to 19 here. I stayed on 19, I guess, so I'm gonna extend. Now where are you?
Right up to it.
Right up to it? Now, watch it, everybody watch it real close. I'm gonna hit this extend button 3 times real fast. Did it move a little bit more?
Yeah, moved up a little bit above it.
Okay. The number one problem over the years with these monitors and the balers is low voltage to the monitor, and then we're not getting enough voltage to the actuators. So, I don't know what year it was, several years back, the computer programmer wrote a new computer program for these chips in here, that when those actuators extend and bottom out, it's supposed to give it another little boost of power. So if you're standing there watching it when it's baling, you'll see it do that. You'll hear it go click, click, click about 3 times, and that's what it's doing. And that actuator will move. So if you're going to do it in the shop like we just did, extend it, let it get tight, and then hit it a couple times real fast, and it might move a little bit. Okay, I don't know how much it moved, 1/8 inch or something. Yeah, so that little extra 3 hits you ought to do if you're doing this manually. Okay? This will cause the net to wrap the rubber roll every day if it's misadjusted. Okay? So you just got to check it. That's why I always look to see if a wrench has been on it. I know somebody's played with it. If I don't see that mark on there, because most of you will mark it. If I don't see that mark on there, I know the farmer probably did it. I need to adjust it. It's that easy. Okay? You know, farmers are really good. You ask them, did you adjust anything? Did you touch anything?
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Never touched it. Yeah, well, how the hell did that get like that then? If they just tell us, it'd be a lot easier.
Yeah, it would be.
All right. So I'm going to bring that back. Well, I'm not going to do it. Yes, I am. Okay. So I checked that. And really, we are adjusting the brake and stuff like that maybe, but you know what? All this kind of goes together. Okay. So the next thing that I would do, the guys are after rubber roll are having major problems. We didn't get an impact in. This brush right here, see that little piece right there?
Yeah.
That is actually a brush. It's metal with little bristles on it, a hairbrush on there. So when this cuts the net off, the angle iron comes down and forces those tails, the loose ends of this net, right here, these little strings right here, it forces those down into the bristles. Okay? So when the next bale goes to the rack, the end of this net is actually stuck in those bristles. So when that actuator extends, that belt gets tight, the net is sitting in there like this. The net actually folds like this. This is trapped here, but it's trying to feed net, so it kind of rolls it over like this. This little end is leading the net down into the baler. The tails, the loose strings are back here. It's only that much. But the idea of that is, remember I said about the tails getting caught on stuff? Those tails get caught on stuff. So on the 7, 8, and 9 series baler, we changed this, added that brush, so it would do this, so those tails are not leading the net down in the baler to get caught on stuff. It reduces how many tears you get in net wrap. So 535, 566s, those old balers, they would get more random tears in net, supposed to, or would, I guess is a better word, than what a 7, 8, or 9 series is. This brush does that. Okay, by the way, it lets that net do this. That brush, there's no place in the operator's manual that will tell you anything about that brush other than it's there. Okay, everybody needs to take that brush off their baler at least once a year and clean it up. Okay, it'll pack her full of mud and dirt. And that mud and dirt will get so hard on there that when this angle iron comes down to push the net down into the bristles, can't do it. So now when that net goes to fire on the next bale, it goes like this. Now these loose strings, the tails, are leading net into my brand new 9 series baler. And now I'm getting more tears in my net wrap. And that's getting caught on the number 11 roller. and that's wrapping around that spiral. God dang it, you know? Amber sold me cheap netting. Okay, I got all these tears in my net.
Again.
And that's, again, this is the second time this year. But that's how the farmer, all he knows, he got tears in his net. So he's coming right back here. Dang it, last summer that baler didn't do that once, now it's doing it every day. It's gotta be the net, can't be the baler. So, you need to, I guess, we can do this. I got a 15 on tractor. Now this is a brand new baler, so it won't start. We put this in back on there. But this will show you what to do. Okay. It's those 4 nuts on the new thing. I'll get out of the way. So and you guys do winter service checkups on balers. If you're not doing this one, I'd do this one. Maybe even power wash the baler, and that's inside there will get all dusty. When you power wash it, all that water, dirt, mud, slide right down on top of the brush. Then when he goes to use it next spring, it's already packed full of dirt. So the one we took off, when was that, Monday?
Yeah.
I should have taken a picture of it. It wasn't the worst one I've ever seen. The next series baler had never been taken off. It was just almost like a mud bar across the top. You couldn't even go. That one was rebrushed.
And that baler was pretty clean.
Yeah, oh no, the guy took good care of it. The baler was in really good shape, other than, if you let that dirt build up enough, it will actually bow that metal, and then the metal is gonna rub against the steel roller and gouge it all up. So say this was it, what you'll find is this be covered complete with mud. It's almost like concrete, okay? Take your 15 millimeter wrench you had in your back pocket. You can just go like that, and you'll just knock all that dirt and mud right off. If you're at the dealership, you can power wash it if you want to. Every once in a while, these will get curved bent backwards like this. Then it's time to get a new brush. So you guys, another part of you, okay? Decide to jump in, now we decide to brush, okay. So that's part of that. So if I'm here and the guy's having all this trouble and I saw those tails, definitely going to check this, okay? While I got this off, this piece right here is a cutoff nut, okay? Do you have an open bale of slice of twine somewhere in the store? Huh?
No, it's 9,000.
Do you have, who's part, you had parts here? You got 16,000 foot size of twine on the saw for round balers? 9 foot square baler?
Yeah.
All right, we want you to get one ball at 16,000.
What's in the Quonset? And I just got something to pull that hose through. I don't know what, there's no cover.
Is it just got a piece of size of twine?
Yeah,
Go over there and cut off
I think it is.
a 10-foot chunk.
I'll go with that. John.
Okay.
See what it is, I'm not.
I don't care if what we should use is 16, but if it's 9, I gave my bag to another guy that put on meetings. The only thing I don't have with me is my twine. But here's something you can do, okay? And this is why I try to get you to do this in a sequence. The book will get you to do it in a sequence. Because I could take this brush off, clean it up, put it back on. Then I look at the next page or further, you know, the net, checking the knife. Well, now I gotta take this back off, get to that. So just try to do it all at once, it saves you a lot of time. So what we're gonna do is check this cutoff knife and make sure it's sharp. If I'm at the dealership, I'm gonna take that cutoff knife off. There's 6 more nuts. Take that bolts and nuts off, bring the knife out here, put it in a vise like this. And I can take a piece of paper and run down to the edge of that, and it ought to slice right through that paper, okay? That's a pretty good sharp knife. In the field, I don't have time to do all that, because the guy's yelling at me, hurry up, I'm late. So what I do is I get this off, and we're gonna use 16,000 foot sisal twine as a taper. Okay, that's our gauge. And that's what we do at the factory to verify that they're sharp, but no one's ever told me that. So while I'm here in the field, I can fish this twine up over the knife, pull it down over the edge, and you kind of know what 25 pounds of pull feels like. So you can just get a hold of that twine and pull down on it, that cuts it off. good. If you can't break it, probably time to get a new knife. Okay? So it'll make more sense when we do it here. If he comes back with a little twine.
Are the knives on these coated where you don't sharpen or anything, or?
No, you can, the operator's manual, even the book I'm gonna give you, will tell you that you can sharpen a knife. If I was you, I'd buy a new knife. But most of us are not very good at sharpening knives. A knife,
Straight.
huh?
It's gotta be straight from end to
It's
end.
gotta be straight from end to end. You can't roll the edge over, you gotta maintain the bezel. And that's 4 foot wide or 5 foot wide. That knife is almost as hard as the file that you're gonna sharpen it with. And I'm gonna ask you to take this file, you know, that whole thing, and use it like a draw knife all the way across 5 feet and not roll that edge over.
I just seen it out of plastic, so. I just seen it looking in the doorway.
Huh?
That's 9.
I would use 9 just to show. We can cut a little hole in the top of that hole off. This to show you what to do. We can use that plastic just to show you what to do. That's okay.
Oh, a knife hammer?
Did she find some?
Go back there?
We might get some. I want to do this all week until rest. Either I'll put that inside. Come on, what time is it? 22.
Way ahead.
Depends on if you're buying or we're buying.
I didn't drink Well, while we're waiting for Amber, you guys that don't know how to get this channel to come up here, you find it? That's 60,000. Fine. Do you mind?
Put your recorder so you can go back and watch it again.
I'm gonna put it online.
Put it on
So if anybody's looking for you, I'm gonna have to smear out your face. Pretty informative, if you ask me. You don't even know all this stuff, but
So get the channel, move that actuator. Go to.
good stuff.
Tell you what, everything he's going through right now, I had to do the Hickses because he was having issues. Skippy there, Baler Tech.
Come on, Rob, hold in on the 1, 2, 3, so don't count that.
You should share your knowledge then.
That's what say CH001 down there. All right, so if I want to go to 19, I just keep a hold of 1, 2, 3, plus key, up to channel 19, okay? So we'll get up to 19, let go, and then you're going to use the extender, retract, and move that action. So stand clear back there. We're gonna, you guys go back there and look, because the black knife, go down on one knee, look up towards the top up in there, and you'll see the green of the angle iron over the bevel. You can see how this goes up and down. So just kind of get down there close where you can see directions to this. Oh, yeah. If you want it to be called study. Okay. But now, watch your head there by that actuator, but extend, Rex. You'll see the little green, see it go up in there? Are you low enough? Now it's going to come sliding down over the top, okay? Retract, Rex. See how it slides over? Go again, Rex, up. Okay, now it's going to come down. And when it comes down, it's pinching the net between that.
Between that blade is sharp right there.
Yeah, come on down. Okay, now go back up. Now, here's where, when you guys are having a lot of trouble, and I told you there's 11 adjustments to do, all of you will get, I mean, everybody I've ever been with gets to right about here. Okay? By this time, the guy's yelling at me a little bit. And I get just like you are, and I look up in there, might even stick my finger up there and kind of rub on that top. Yep, that baby looks sharp. You can't say it looks sharp, okay? you gotta check it. There are balers from the factory that don't have a very sharp knife. Could be a brand spanking new baler. Okay, we have changed suppliers of this knife 5 times in the last 5 years. Most of them I've seen lately have been very, very good. But when I see these tails hanging down, I'm gonna do what we're doing right now. If you don't, you may be back next week, okay? Needle nose pliers, God dang, I should have had to get them while you look. You got some. All right, you help me. We're gonna get down on one knee, we're gonna stick this twine right up his back, and you'll see it come out right at the top. You go. Yeah, go, that's fine, hitting that flap there. Okay, just go hold it, now, put it on your side of the bar. Now, what we do at the factory is we got them sitting out here on the stand, and they'll put this twine just like you've got there. We tie this in down here, and they have a 28-pound weight. Okay, just a chunk of steel with a hook on the end. So you got it tied, you just put that hook in there, and take your hands away, and it'll just cut that twine right off. Now this is 9,000, so you're probably not gonna be able to do it. But that would just cut that 16, it just goes, you hear it go ting, cuts it right off, okay? But what you're gonna do is just what he's doing there, just try to pull on that. I don't know if you break it or not. That 9,000 is a lot of heavy twine, okay? He did that pretty good on the 9,000, so I guarantee it's a pretty good knife. I have seen him where you can get that, and he pull like that, you won't even break it. If you pull like that and do it, and you fall face first down in the dirt, that's probably more than 28 pounds. Okay? You want to do that 4 or 5 places across that knife. So you just kind of keep moving your way over. Okay? Make sure that it just cuts that twine right off. Don't wiggle it back and forth because it'll cut it pretty easy. Just pull right straight down. If you're really good, you get your 28-pound weight, make a little hook on it, and whenever you go to the field, you can do it really easy. Okay? But that's checking the sharpness. If that knife is really like razor sharp, this spec would be like a 5-pound weight out here on the end. Okay, so it's not really a hugely sharp knife, but it's a sharp knife. If it's dull, you'll know it. A knife will last, if it's sharp from the factory, it'll last 10, 15, 20,000 bills. But if it's a little bit dull, it's like a dull pocket knife. You try to use a dull pocket knife, every time you pull it out of your pocket, it just gets worse and worse and worse. So if it was dull, kind of on the dull end to start with, it don't get better. Now, I'm going to ask you, how many knives have you ever sold?
No.
How long we've been selling round balers? Since 1982.
Longer than I've been alive.
Okay, but those didn't have net wrap, so I'm lying to you a little bit. So since about 88, they all have a knife in them. Almost any dealership you go to, they don't have a knife in stock, never sold a knife, okay? I guarantee you there's a lot of people that have this net wrap and the rubber roll issue is because that knife is dull. And they're just living with it. They might only wrap the rubber roll, 2 times this cutting and 2 times next cutting, but if they're getting mad at us, this is where I need to go to, okay? That knife is the heart of the machine. If it's sharp, everything works perfect. If it's dull, everything's gotta be perfect. And the first adjustments you have that's not perfect will start getting you in trouble. So I'll even tell you this way, if that knife is good and sharp, all the stuff I'm talking to you about, these other little adjustments, they can be about halfway there and it's gonna work. But if it's not, you gotta have them on the gnat's butt.
But if you took that knife out and just surface ground it,
No, don't use a grinder, sandpaper, or sand disc, anything. The heat, the very tip of that knife is heat treated. So if you get it hot enough, you'll take the heat treatment out and roll over. Here's the other thing that just kind of makes sense to me. A file is kind of rough, right? So you're putting this file on this little edge and you're trying to sharpen it. If you look at that under a microscope, the edge of that knife, it'll look like an old saw blade. And as soon as those points break off, you're right back where you started. Here's why I tell you to buy a new knife. A new knife costs $225. And it's going to last 20,000 bales. it's pretty easy for me to get $225 at a service call. Driving out to the place, taking the knife out, I gotta put it in a vise, I gotta have a brand new file, cause it's already my file. So by the time I get done fiddle farting around and maybe roll the edge over, I've already spent an hour or two at least. And at $100 an hour, I'm the same price as a new knife. So you might as well put a guy a new knife in. And then you know that it's sharp and we're ready to go. So if you go to Baler's a lot, like you carry a brake pad, normally, I don't have them in my car now, but I have a 4-foot knife and a 5-foot knife in my car every day. And sometimes I just trade a guy out. If he's fighting mad and we ain't got it fixed and you've called up for help, sometimes I just change the knife out. Then I take that old knife home, and we have a guy that sharpens like carpenters, saws, and knives, and he does a lot of stuff for a meat packing plant. So he can sharpen them really good. He gets them over sharp, but they're really sharp. So if you got somebody that does that kind of work in the town, they can sharpen them right back up. Just trade them out. It never wears out. It just don't.
Yeah, 'cause like surface grinder I got home, coolant.
Yeah.
Keeps
Oh,
it nice.
yeah, if you, yeah, as long as it doesn't get hot, you might be okay doing it. Yeah, you bet. Yeah. All right, so that all makes sense there. Good sharp knife, okay? Now what we're gonna do is check the clearance between that counter knife and the knife. If you ever replace this knife, you've gotta do what we're doing right now. Okay, so even if I took it out and sharpened it, I gotta do this. So if somebody, where you're standing, Dawn with it, if you get down on one knee and look at the knife, you see that black bar running across all the way? If you sight across there to this end, has that knife got a little bow in it? Bow back here towards the middle, blacked out? Or what do you think, it's pretty straight?
It's pretty straight.
What do you think? It might be straight, we haven't checked it yet. There's actually supposed to be a little bow in there. That knife should be bowed back towards us back here.
Looks straight.
So, okay, good. If you take it out of there and put it back in there, you take the bow out. Okay? So that bow is what controls this clearance between the counter knife and the cutoff knife. Okay? So we're going to check that right now to see how it is. We might have to make an adjustment on a brand new pair, right in the back.
That's why we're here.
So, if you read our book, or the operator's manual, or the D-Tech switch I'm going to tell you about, we tell you to set this gap at 3/1000ths of an inch. We're asking you to do a better job than the factory does. Factory sets them at 7/1000ths. Okay, so that's roughly this piece of paper. So what we're going to do, so 4 inches in from each end. So you're going to come out here about 4 inches, hold that up over the bevel. So you got to kind of hold the bottom out so it lays flat. That counter knife is going to come down over that, and it should pinch that paper. Okay, your paper should be tight. Okay, Rexy. So Rex is going to run that actuator. Now you got to retract when he's ready. When you're ready, tell us. Okay, he's ready. Now that paper should be pinched in there.
Yep, I can't pull it out of
Okay, good.
that.
Then, now come out and see the two bolts in the middle. You don't have to be exactly in the middle, but get somewhere in the middle. Okay. All right. Go. Yep.
Nope.
Loose as a goose. Okay, let's come out here to the other end. About 4 inches away. Okay?
Okay. Nope.
Oh. This could be a really pain in the hind. Now, being you said there's no bow in there, we're going to put the bow in. Okay? So we need to take those washers off.
What's that extractor?
Extended. Yeah, wait a minute. Okay, you got it. Okay. Now, take this deep well and break those nuts loose.
All of them?
All 4 of them. Yep. You don't have to get the little one, so you got those 4. And then, I should get you an extension. But then just kind of snug them back up finger tight. Then, well, the factory's been doing a really good job, but this baler's not brand new. I mean, it's new baler belts. Come in within a year maybe. Now, we're going to put this bow back in there, okay? So you might be strong enough to pull this back, see how it's moving? and then you want to tighten your nuts from the inside out, and it'll maintain the bow. Or you can stick that little pry bar in your screwdriver, and then see how you change that bow. So somebody help you. Somebody run the wrench. You start at the middle two, and then go to the outside edges. And what you're doing is you're actually putting that bow in there, and you're gonna set the bow. By tightening that, it'll maintain that bow in there. Okay? Both sides.
Your bowl is gonna be by vision, not the paper.
It's going to be by paper in the end. Now here's what you get. This takes you a little bit. You don't want to get a hold of that pry bar. If you got good grip strength, the hand's probably all you need. So you just want to put a little bow in it. You don't need to go crazy. If you're reaching in there and pulling back on that baby and put it out. Now, when we run this down,
Start from this side and work back across?
yeah, we're doing the same thing. But like Rex would do, is if I really thought I really went nuts, I'd just bring that down just a little bit at a time, because I don't want to come down top of it.
Yeah, go ahead and close it.
You're still there. Now see how you're out there. You don't have to be exactly in the middle, you just like.
Okay. Good there.
Okay.
How do you know if you're?
Okay.
The only way you know if you're too tight is
There,
come
there.
down and hit the top of the knife.
Didn't take much.
No, you won't be too tight.
That should do it.
Okay. But I have seen it. And this, well, come here and I'll show you. When you go to play. Huh?
What the heck is that bolt at?
It's the same way they laminate wood, like for an archway of a door or something.
I mean,
And once they get that bow set, it'll stay in there until you loosen those four nuts again. That'll pop right back out. Now the European balers, that's one thing I do like about the European baler. They actually have a set of those bolts. Yeah, and so all you gotta do is adjust the nuts at the bottom. It's a little easier, but this works okay. But anytime you loosen those four bolts out, you change that bow. That's why I had you look to start with, just to see.
yeah, we're straight.
But what I was gonna show you.
Let's look at it and see if you can
Yeah.
see it.
Oh, it's a bowl.
If you go too far, or I've seen too much, but the angle right on
And that's why it wasn't cut.
Yeah, well, it was tight here, the rest of it down through there was.
So you know there's
just
two
paper
bolts
and out of it.
here, carriage bolts. There's two carriage bolts on the other side.
Yeah.
So all you do is just raise this up about halfway, and you gotta come up with a long extension in the bottom, and you can move that angle iron back and forth. But those are two brand new 9 series balers last summer. So it doesn't hurt when you take this off to check and just see how it is. If that hits on that knife too many times, there's my edges gone, I'm right back where I started before. So it's important that you don't pull that too much, okay? And if I've taken it clear out and I put a bow in, whoever's running that knife, I just have them bring it down just, like that, so I make sure it's slipping over the top. You should never have to play with these bolts. If you do, you're actually messing up all that stroke, and then you're gonna be really bad. So what we just did here took 30 seconds, took 5 minutes. But if you do that a couple times and you can't get it right, you do it again, well, maybe I need to bow a little more, and you do it again. If you do that 20 times and you can't get it, if you do that 20 times and you can't get it, that angle iron might have a little bit of a bow in the angle iron. And that's about the time I would get a hold of the John Deere TCSM, the service guy. Say,
The one that it bolts to then?
huh?
The one that it bolts?
Yeah, we take that, no, the angle iron, the counter knives going up and down.
okay.
I'd call him up and say, you know what, I got a counter knife, I can't get adjusted. And I know it's a 5-year-old baler, but this guy's had trouble for 5 years. I think this is what he might tell you, go take it flat and leave. But he might also say, oh, well, okay, let's get a new one in there and do it. The newer balers, the factory's taking this away from them. If they go to set that and they can't do it 2 or 3 times, they take that angle iron out, get rid of it, put a new one in. So you shouldn't see many like that, but I've seen old balers, I'm just gonna tell you, you can't get it. There ain't no, if you got a straightening press, you might as well take it out, take it over to straightening press, straighten that angle iron, start over. Because you will never get it if it's got enough bow in it, okay? All right, so that's pretty,
Offer a harness that you can hook in between there so you can get back
yes,
here.
you can use the concave tool for the,
Combine.
for a
yeah.
combine.
But you can't make it go
Unplug it.
through, you can't use a controller.
No, and I like to use the monitor. This is my personal preference, okay? The only reason I like to use the monitor is, besides teaching you guys how to use the monitor, now I've taught the farmer how to use some of the channels, and he can do some stuff. And it makes things just easier than 5 years down the road. He can do some of these things with these. Okay? All right. So that wasn't part of it. But right, that point right there on these balers that are having lots of trouble, nobody ever do this. And I've gone to the field and the guy did the haymaster, and he says, Ron, I did every single thing that you did. Okay, so we get out of the field, and we start getting down here this knife bit. I said, you sharpen that knife? No, it's sharp. And we'll put that on there, and then you couldn't cut the twine. Well, I thought it was sharp. Try thinking it's sharp and being sharp ain't the same thing. So you got to go to that point. Okay, it doesn't really take a long time, but you got to get there. Okay, all right. So let's put this brush back on. We're in good shape. So let's just slap that back together. Yeah, just like this. This little rib here goes outside. Yeah, and then there's a clearance between the pipe. Anybody got their billfold with them? We're your hotel room. I used to stay there. I had that in my back pocket. I did that. I had it. I pulled it up and I went, what the hell is that? It was at this restaurant outside. What the heck that is? So when you go to tighten that up, this credit card ought to slide, Yeah, all the way over. So you got to slide that back there across there. So when you put that brush in, there is a clearance for it. If you get it up too tight, it'll rub on the steel roll and it'll start the steel roll off. Okay?
Now, what is the deal on steel roll?
If you get one that's all welded up, I probably, unless it's really portable bad,
Can we sand?
yeah, clean that up with emery cloth, and I probably wouldn't.
But we had one that got filled with dirt, Scotch-Brite.
Scotch-Brite, I'm panting this, do emery cloth, get the roughness off, and Scotch-Brite it, clean it up, and go. We always kind of, years ago, told the old man you just need to replace it. I don't think. And it's really expensive.
It's not a fun job.
No, it's really, really expensive.
Sand.
Yeah. One thing though, don't try to turn it on and sand like that. I know a guy that got his finger caught trying to do that. So just turn it by hand and sand it, turn it by hand and sand it.
Go from the inside out?
Oh, no, putting that on doesn't do much. These go tight right there.
Yeah, but I'm telling you here.
Oh yeah, just pull it down. Usually if you leave about an eighth of an inch between that rib and
You can see that this is high from where the washer mark was. I mean, it's up.
you might have to pull down on it too. They're not exactly straight either.
So we're gonna have to make this right and push this.
Yeah,
off.
if you can, just get close. If you have a little more gap there, I'd rather have a little more gap there than too much right there. Okay, now there's one more really goofy thing, not a goofy thing, but one more thing you really got to check, okay? If they're having lots of trouble. This one will kind of fool you too. Sometimes they'll get net on half a bale, and the other half of the net is wrapped on the rubber roller. Left side, say. Left side's got net on it, but the right side of the bale's got net on the bale, okay? You really want to know all this stuff. All right, so we buy sell some parts. We sell brake pads, knives, brushes, so we can sell a few parts of that.
Well, you're saying that they're not selling the knife, so what the heck are they doing?
Nobody done anything with it. Nobody knows. So now they're having all this trouble wrapping and rolling. Whose fault is it? The net wrap. So everything is blamed on the net. But basically, it might be time to change the knife to some old balers. And there might be some new balers you get that you need to put a knife in. You can't come to John Deere guy, I said that, because I wasn't a John Deere guy at my time. Somebody always said, well, Amos told us that I was supposed to put a new knife in there. I'll get that phone call. Never was there.
You can use those.
Yeah, but if you check it and that knife is dull, then somebody needs to tell the guy this might be the trouble. But the baler will tell you. That's what I like about the baler. All you gotta do is look at the back and see the strings hanging. Now I know it's not cut. could be just this break. But I'm gonna check all three of those, counter knife, sharpness, and break. Sometimes it's like break up.
Because some of the balers, you know, the older ones, they've been out a while already,
Oh, yeah.
and I'm just curious what the hell they're doing, because if it ain't right,
Some guys will read the operating manual, take it out, try to sharpen it, they might be okay. But most of them are, you know, like I said, the last 20,000 bales, so there'll be a lot of old balers might just be getting 20,000 bales. And
Then
then
the
some,
owners aren't the operators anymore. The operator's calling owner who's calling
yeah,
me.
you got it. You, Amber, you guys in Partisan will be the first ones to hear about any trouble. Then they're gonna get a hold of you, because it's always the net's fault.
Right.
And I tell you the truth, and I'll be off a little bit of my numbers, but I would say probably 85% of the time, it's something with this baler, not the factory spec. And the other 15%, that's probably high, but it could be the net. But almost always, there's something, we get calls every day in DTAC, you know, we go out to the field with people, or in Ambraco, Larry goes to the field, I go to the field all summer. And man, the net is no good, look at this baler. And every one of them we go to, you do some of these things we just went through here, and they think they got a brand new baler. Same rule of net they started with, but it wasn't that.
And you know what I would say, and I'll say it, 'cause I don't work for Deere. I think I would be checking this new baler that comes in here.
No, I wouldn't go that far yet.
Well, but when you look, just look at it, like that bow wasn't in that, you could know right then that could be a problem.
Yeah, you can check it. But on pre-delivery, you don't have time to do all that, because you don't get paid to do all that. So the factory should be doing, and I'll tell you, well, I'm a Deere guy.
That's right.
But no, the balers, I'm gonna tell you the truth. Probably 99% of them that I've seen since I retired are good. Now there'll be one goofy thing once in a while, bow's not there. The bow was good and the other one's the other day. So there's always something, you know, it's just a piece of machinery. But I don't go to extreme, but I'm gonna show you a couple things that I would do with PDI, okay? This isn't one of them, but I want you all to know this adjustment. This is kind of a newer adjustment. So if you've been to ANAC and stuff, we may not even told you about this before. But this piece right up here is called the front panel. This level right here. And you see that bend line in it right there? There's a leg of that is bent back towards this rubber roll. Okay, that's a stripper. That's supposed to strip the net away if it's trying to come up with the rubber roll. It's supposed to strip it off the rubber roll. So look right there, that little bend. Okay, if you look where he's standing and where Don's standing, you'll see there's an air gap there. Okay, that air gap should be at least 1/8 of an inch up to 1/4. Okay? You're very good. Okay. And this is exactly what you'll see. All right, now Rex, go over there and extend the actuator again.
Okay.
Now this leads me into two really big things, okay? One, on new balers, it's not as big a deal as it is old balers. But when you go to check this gap, you get this belt tight. Now, undo it again, Rex. Release it. Watch this shiv right here. Retract? Yeah, retract. Now this is brand new baler, so it's not going to do it. But watch it and see if it moves forward at all.
Ready?
Yeah, go. Didn't at all, did it? But you will get out here to old balers.
Holy cow, yeah, I had one that
This baby will move a lot. So I guess I'll start the old baler first. Every single old baler you ever look at, I mean old by 2 years from today and older, okay? If I got it in here and I'm working on it, or this guy that quit using net wrap because it keeps wrapping the rubber roll, okay, and I'm going through all this stuff. If you come around here, this bearing support for that roll, there's a little tab that sticks through the side sheet in an oval hole right there. See it?
gone. It was gone.
If they break, then you're really in trouble, but that's pretty easy to fix.
We welded a new one back in it.
Okay, you buy new bearing support, casting, it doesn't matter, okay? Well, what happens, see that oval hole, y'all see where I'm looking? It's on each end, okay? You look at that as you start your little job around this baler. That oval hole, that dust on there, no? Okay, you see the hole, right? All right. This rubber roll turn around the baler, feeding the net into the baler. The old balers, see how this is kind of a big, the pin is almost the same size as the hole, right?
Right.
Okay, on the old balers, it's just a little round tab.
Ooh, that's what mine had. It didn't have much. It was just a little.
Okay, it's just a little round tab, and then there's this oval hole goes around it. Well, this rubber roll has a little run out in it, okay?
It would wear a notch right into that.
Exactly. That little pin is acting like a flat rat tail file every time it's turned around. It actually creates a new hole in the oval,
What's that?
and then the roll is moving forward. Okay, so it's actually running, it's not in the oval anymore, it's in a new hole out here. Okay, so what happens is this rubber roll moves forward.
We welded a key stock right. So
Yes, this gap now between the rubber roll and the steel roll and the front panel, every bale I make, it's getting closer to that leg. Now it's going to cause my net to wrap. Every bale I make, I just put a brand new brake pad on that guy's baler last month. I got 3 shims in there. He's wrapping the rubber roll again now, 250 bales later. If that rubber roll is creating a new hole and it's moving forward, every bale I make, my shim's moving away from the brake pad. But it's not worn out. The gap is just getting farther between them, and I'm losing torque. So if I don't do this, I can do all of the other stuff we just did, and by God, 3 months from now, we're back out there doing the same thing again. Okay? So what you got to do is when you see that, you're going to get in here, you're going to pull that rubber roll back into the slot. You can just take a pry bar down there. It'll pop right back. Release the belt and it'll pop right back probably. And then you're going to get a 1/4 inch square key stock, 1 inch long. You're going to make 4 pieces. You're going to weld one right down the front side of this, bearing support down at the bottom, and then go the other side and do the same thing. And then you're going to lock that in the home position. It won't be moving forward anymore. If you don't do it, you'll never fix his baler.
He said he had a brand new baler after we died.
He does. Now the 9 series, come over here. The last 2 years. Well, that's the whole support, yeah.
Right,
But
now where you welding?
You're welding
right,
front,
see this little tab right there? You're welding the tab on the side, just like that.
Yep.
Top and bottom. It's easier to see on the other side. So in this book I'm going to give you, there's no picture of that. DTAC solution that references in there, 81337, shows you the picture, make the key stop. It doesn't take 10 minutes, but you got to do it. All you got to do is kind of get your wire brush, clean paint off, pull that shiv off, take a screwdriver and hold that key stock in place, tack weld it, do the same thing there, go to the other side and do it, and you're done. And then I paint them back green, you know. But see, this 9 series baler is fixed. So if you're not sure what we're talking about, if you come over here, you can see the tab. See how this arm, on all the old balers, this bracket comes down and goes right back up. Now it's bent down and there's a tab that holds that in place.
Do that.
So I can't do it anymore.
See that?
So now here's something, I don't know this, but I think it would work. If they're only putting this tab on one end, I would probably,
Gonna do the other.
I would, but if I was in a big hurry and everybody's mad at me, I'd just put the key stock here and the key stock at the bottom, just do this side. Forget it. I don't care that side.
This side was just as bad.
Yeah, I know it is. But, so just, I would do both.
We did. We had it in here and we
Yeah.
left it. And we
Okay, so
fixed
that all makes sense?
Yep.
All right. Here is this gap. Okay, so we got that belt pipe. We should be able to stick an 1/8 of an inch drill bit down between there. I don't think you can stick it. Nothing down there. So I've seen on some of these 9 series where it's touching. This doesn't mean anything to you, but it's a nice story for me to say. This right here, that leg is an air bin. Press brake in the factory, they have a whole piece of metal in there. Machine comes down, hits it, and it bends that leg. It doesn't bottom out in a die. So every piece of metal is a little bit different. Some of them will bend a little more, some will be a little less. I don't know why it's not a bottom out die. In the old days, that would have been a bottom out die. So then every piece was exactly the same regardless of carbon into steel. But this isn't. So every now and then you'll come across one of these where it'll be tighter to one side or the other. It's almost 100% tighter on the left side than the right side. So if it's too tight and it's causing this net to get caught between the guide, the stripper, and the rubber roll, this guy's bales, you'll come out here and you look, and the net will be wrapped around the rubber roll halfway, from the left to the middle, and the other part of the net is on the bale. And it'll do that every 3 or 4 bales, okay? The only way you can fix it is increase that gap. All right, so all you gotta do to increase that gap, get you a flat pry bar or something, retract that actuator, retract the actuator, and I'm just gonna, we should have it. I lost my field gauge the other day, I left it somewhere. But I can tell by shoving that bar in there how tight that is. And then you can just go like that. And it doesn't take a lot to bend, see how the whole thing's moving?
Yeah, see that?
It doesn't take much to bend it. And then you just take a feeler gauge and go down feeler like that. You don't have to go crazy. If you go crazy, you'll be taking the rubber roll out and bending it back. So you're gonna go out there and there's 7 series balers that are working like champs, never having trouble, and that gap is 1/4 to 1/2 inch wide. Don't mess with it. It's fine. But if you get them too wide, when the angle iron comes up, it can hit the bottom of the leg of that front panel, and it shuts the door again and go. But if it's working as 1/2 inch wide, let it go. Don't even mess with it. Because you got to take the rubber roll out, and you got to bend it back, and then you put the roll back in, and you got to bend it the other way. So I wouldn't even worry about it. But if it's too tight, when that belt's tight, then do that right there. Okay? That will cause the to wrap the rubber roll a lot. All right, that's that. See the big steel roller? That's a place where the diamond tread goes over the roller. And then if the net gets stuck to the diamond tread, it gets wrapped around that roller. So sometimes if a customer tells you, I kicked out 2 bales today and there was no net on them and I couldn't find the net is up wrapped around that roller. Have you ever been up there and dug any net off up there, anybody? Okay. 2 things about that. You want the customer to get that net off of there because it's easier on you the next time you're out there. But we probably get, and I always say 1 or 2, but it's not that. But maybe 1 baler every 2 years in DTAC, we'll get a call and the baler is caved in or collapsed from the top down. Just like we took a pop can and did that to it. And what happens is all that net over the years is piled up on that roller, and that roller's this big, now it's this big. And there's no slack in the baler and the belts for any additional length. So the force actually just makes that baler fold inside.
Fold right in.
Yeah, and there's no fix for that. That's a new baler.
We should eventually kind of,
Oh yeah, it does all kinds of things, but the baler just collapses.
once you feel vibrations.
Oh, you should. You would think somebody knows something. But I have seen it on balers that thick on that roller.
I've seen what that.
And you go up there and it takes you a couple hours to get all that net off of there. It's the worst job on the baler, if you ask me. So if they can't find net, it's always up there. Those tails we talked about earlier, that's one thing gets net up there. The other thing is making too tall a bale. Okay, all these balers, like the 4x5s, make a 60-inch bale. This one makes a 72-inch bale. And today, people seem to make bigger bales than what the baler's supposed to make. And it's John Deere's fault. Okay? You put the bigger tires on here, you start to sell a lot of those great big tires, the jumbo tire. Okay? And then the roller baffle on the front of the pickup. These balers eat hay a lot better than old balers. So guys just a couple years ago that were going 5-6 miles an hour, now they're going 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. They're going just as fast as they can go. And the baler eats it up. But what happens is, this monitor, I got it set for 70 inches. And I'm driving along, and I'm going 12 miles an hour. The monitor hits 70, I hear the solid beep. What does that mean?
Get the binders on it.
That means I should have already been stopped.
Yeah, you should have been stopped.
That's the stop sign. But you're just like,
You're going way.
everybody, as soon as they hear that beep, picks their foot up, push the clutch in, and they let it roll to a stop.
Man, I told them
At
that-
12 miles an hour,
That's a lot.
it's a lot of feet, it's a lot of hay. And now that bale's not 72 inches. That bale's 74 or 75 inches. And I have a drawing on my computer I should have showed you in there. The inside of the bale, it's kind of like an A-frame. So it's kind of like this. You're building the bale in here. And then when these belts go like this, there's a roller up here at the top. That's a number 11. So the belts come up, go around that belt, come back down, go around the front half of the bale. All right, there's a little gap up there at the top where the belts there's nothing there. The net has to come up there go around with the belts. It has to fall off of this belt and go with the bale and come down the front half of your baler. Okay? Just a little space, that much. If you put 74 inches of hay in this baler, now that space is basically nothing. So the net follows the belts and goes up around that number 11. And that's why all your net's getting up there. You're putting 10 pounds of crap in 5-pound bags is what you're doing. And there's no place for anything to go. So the net ends up on the number 11 roller. So the bigger the bale the guy makes, the more likely that is to happen. So if you get out there and somebody's having all kinds of net wrapping around the number 11 roller, sometimes it's easy, just go to the monitor and put it at 67 inches. And at that time it rolls to a stop, it'll still be at 72. Everything's gonna be good, okay? Or the bale size calibration could be off. And I see it off on a lot of balers. So the baler guy, monitor, says, I'm making a 68-inch bale, but when I get out in the field, I'm almost 6'2", and the bales are bigger than me. Something's wrong. Okay? That gets me in a lot of trouble. That net's getting up on the number 11 roller. Okay? Plus, you saw in that video, that if you make oversized bales every day, this guy's going to buy parts. So if anybody ever tells you they're buying lots of bearings, they broke shafts in the baler, they broke rollers in the baler, welds are all cracked all around the thing, this guy's having all kinds of trouble. You got to go out and measure his bales. 99.9% of the time, anybody that has that kind of trouble is making oversized bales. Whatever size baler he's making too big of bales. Today, with the capacity of the balers, it's easy for guys to make oversized bales. So that stop sign, whatever number you set it for, that's the stop sign. That means I'm already stopped. I don't mean start rolling to the stop. Okay? That's probably one of the biggest things we'll get about net is net on a number 11 roller. Okay? So have you all checked the bale size calibration ever before? A little bit. In pre-delivery, I would do that. We're going to do it right here. Just because probably in the last 2 years, I'm not sure I've ever seen a baler set correct. And they're all the wrong way. So now I'm making a bigger bale than what the monitor says. That's going to affect my number of wraps on the bale. Okay, I'm making a 68-inch bale, but it's actually 74 inches. I got my monitor set at 2. I ain't going to end up with 2 wraps on that bale. I'm going to have 1.5. Now my net broke. Back to Amber. Sold me cheap net. And when I get out there and start looking at net and counting net, there's only 1.5 layers on there. Okay. Well, the guy thinks he's doing right, but the baler's telling him wrong. All right, so let's check it right here on this baler quick. All you got to do is lock that gate right there by you. Put that in padlock position. Okay, come on over here. We need one guy to jump up the tractor. Go ahead. We got my help with for you guys that haven't done it, you see that big hole in the side sheet up there? You have that gold bracket went down, there's a big hole out the side of the $7. Okay, this is where the factory sets this up. Okay? So they're going to do just like we do, try to see in the assembly line, same thing. When you lock the gate, he's going to start the tractor here in a second, pull back on the SCV lever, just barely crack it, and the tension arm, this cylinder, starts to go up in the baler like we're making a bale in here. In the tension arm, in the middle of the tension arm, there's a little hole punched about the size of a dime. We want to center the little hole in that big hole, and then we'll tell him to stop. Okay? And then there's a mechanical setting, that's the mechanical setting for 62 or 72-inch tall bale. And then the monitor, there's a default number in there that matches that up, so the baler can calculate where the tension arm is, knows how big your bale is. Yeah, it should be. So, start it up now. I just want you to, in a second here, just pull back on the hydraulics on the gate, but just do it real smooth. You're integrated. On the monitor, you go to channel 5. Okay? Channel 5 is down like this, that number's in it. So you can watch this here. We'll yell at you when it's time to stop. Just barely crack, just have this going real slow. Now, Rex, you're looking at that hole up there. So it should start
inside the green.
Oh, gotcha.
Oh! That's what you're talking about. That's 208, okay? So it's buzzing at me, that's wrong. This computer chip now knows that's 72 inches. So whatever it put here, it can calculate where that kitchen arm knows how big your bale is. So that one's set correct, okay? Yeah, it would be some, this would be on some different number. And then, yeah, all you gotta do is loosen this up, rotate that, so it's still that. Okay? Now, let me show you what I've seen on nearly every bagel. Okay? That's what you want to see right there. It should be 208. Raise that up just a little higher. Keep going. Keep going. Oh. See that bolt in there? Oh yeah. You're going to be off about 4 inches. Alright? And just a little bit higher. Go a little bit more. Okay? You can't. The kitchen arm stops. It can only go so high. Alright? Now the kitchen arm is up against the stop. The monitor is the same 208. It says 204. So it says, oh, I only got a 68-inch baler. So it's telling me to keep putting hay in. I can't put no more hay in there. I am putting 10 pounds, 5 pound back. Something is going to break. So if you ever see that bolt showing, that's access to the door. That bolt will never, ever be short. And I have seen 4 brand new balers like this. You always make sure that little hole is separate. Okay? Now, okay, run back down. If the guy is like, how you shut it off? If this customer is like the guy I was describing earlier, now he's going 12, 13 miles an hour baling, and he doesn't get stopped when the beaver goes, you could set that in the bottom half of the hole, and that would give him a little time to get stopped. It's going to tell him he's actually making a little smaller bale than he really is, but you can do that. I've done that a lot for guys that go really, really fast, because they just won't stop.
Yeah.
If you're going alfalfa, you're not going to hit the brakes and slide to get stopped.
Yeah, not on
So,
alfalfa.
no, so you're going to coast. So, you know, you can kind of cheat the system a little bit, but just make sure it's on the wrong, the bottom side, not the top side. If you see that bolt in there, and I'm going to tell you, I don't know how many balers I've looked at in the last 2 years, but I would say hundreds. I haven't seen very many right.
Really? They've all had that bolt?
Oh, yeah, almost always that bolt showing. Yeah, no, I check them. I really would check those. I don't know if that sensor moves around a little bit in shipping or something. I don't know if you remember this little bracket here. Didn't used to be like this. Yeah, it's set over the pipe. But this is, and the old one is centered on the pipe. This is centered on the pipe inside. This, see that? Yeah, the other one you couldn't even move. This is off of a mid-size baler. Some engineer thought it was okay. The old one was kind of tough. If it wasn't centered up, and I don't know if you know what I mean. This is all centered on the pipe that's the kitchen arm welded to. It has to be centered. So the old one, there's a couple of bolts that hold that bracket. It's bolted in there, okay, to the frame. And if you ever got up there, climb up and look, the pipe, you'll see the pipe here, and the bracket that sensor is mounted to, there's a notch cut in it like this, a V shape, upside down V, and that V is centered right on that pipe, okay? So if they didn't center it right or somebody played with that, you had to go up there, loosen this up, and swing that arm around, center it out. It took 2.5 minutes, maybe. Now, how are you going to center this gold bracket up to the inside diameter of that pipe?
Can't see it.
So if anybody ever adjusts these two nuts right here, you see a wrench bit on this nut, their bale size is completely, bad word, up. They're in deep trouble. So you don't ever try to adjust this by sliding this bracket
No,
around.
you loosen the 2 bolts on it.
On the pinch on. Okay, so don't ever touch that. Now, you can do it, but it's a pain. And the fact that they got a special tool that stick in there, it's got legs that go through the bracket and hits the inside of the pipe, and they can move around tight with nuts. But you ain't got that tool. About the only thing you can do, we wrote a DTAC solution, is get a 5/16 bolt, 3 of them, about 2 inches long or 2.5 inches long, and just stick them in that hole and then finger tighten the nut to here so the leg bolts stay clear through. And you can use the legs of those bolts to send out that pipe. I hate that personally. But they change. The other one is a piece of cake. That's something, this is Rex, this is our history lesson. Rex and I are both kind of history nuts. People forget history really, really fast. But some young guy came along, oh, this same Ambraco we use there, yeah, let's do that. He's not thinking about us. They got a tool at the factory that lines it up. We ain't got the tool. So if somebody changes this out here for us, it's a pain in the hind end. I've stuck number 2 pistols in there, just rammed them clear in there, so I can get them inside the pipe and do that, and that works pretty good. But it's not near as easy for somebody to make a change because they didn't know any better. That's just the way it was. They didn't, you know, we learned a lot of stuff over 40 years of doing this. This baler didn't start off this good a baler 40 years ago. So all that, and they very quickly forget.
It's like they always have a good thing going and they always change
They
it.
very, very quickly forget. They start trying the same stuff we tried 35 years ago. They start trying it again. Well, wait a minute, we already did that and it didn't work. Oh, okay, well, I'm a new young guy, I think it'll work. Well, no, we already did it. Sometimes they win. Okay, so we run into that a lot. History is a great teacher, but you just got to remember it. That's right. If you don't pay attention to it, it's not a good teacher. All right, that's what I wanted to show you. Okay, that's, to me, that's a big deal. Bears get a lot of net on number 11. That's probably what's on. Okay, all right, let's go to B-Wrap. All right, and then we'll put that on. When you go to put B-Wrap on a baler, the B-Wrap kit, you can put on a 7, 8, or 9 series on your baler.
Hold that for a minute.
And usually when we really got a good idea right here, we never let you go back. We always make you buy new balers again. So this is about the first time I can tell you where we really let you go back 2 generations of balers and do something, okay? The first thing I remind you about, it works on almost all 7 series. The very first year of 7 series balers had a belt of this monitor. This monitor right here. It had a toggle switch where you chose twine or net up here. And today all the balers have a Bail Track Pro. Okay, you see the toggle switch and the black and yellow logo with the green yellow. B-Wrap doesn't work with this monitor. So there are some 7 series balers out there that this B-Wrap doesn't work with. Okay, about a year's production. It depends on how many they sold out of the store. That's the motherboard in there that doesn't work. What it really doesn't have is the logic for the slip plus alert speed compensation kit. It goes on the baler. This does, that doesn't. So you can't go ahead and make it work. I can make it work on this baler. I just got to update this monitor. Okay, I can update this monitor to this one. And the wiring harness. That costs you about $1,500. 2 weeks ago in Alabama, 2 guys in the meeting, customers, and we want that B-Wrap. They build peanut hay, I'll tell you about that later. But B-Wrap really works really good on it. And they said, we want it. So we got talking, they went up to the parts counter, and both of them had this monitor. $1,500 later, they can get this one. They both went ahead and bought B-Wrap. They updated the monitor.
Is there something that Ag Express could beef
No.
up and send into?
No.
Just a question.
Nope,
I know they
nope.
can,
Now, Ag Express.
just a,
Well, I want to tell you something about Ag Express. If this monitor has a problem, I don't know where this got started, but a lot of dealers send monitors to Ag Express to get fixed. Okay? Ag Express can't fix the motherboard in here. Okay? They can do exactly the same thing you do by going through parts. If this LED in here is not lighting up, you can go to the parts counter and you can get them a new LED and plug in here. Okay? You can do all that kind of stuff yourself. Whatever part you can replace in the parts counter, that's all Ag Express can do. Because John Deere owns that motherboard. They don't have nothing to do with John Deere, really. Okay? So if you want to send a monitor in to get fixed, you send it to Reman in Springfield, Missouri. Okay? The ones that redo engines and all that. And they are John Deere. So they can, what they'll do is it's a core charge, but you send this bad monitor in, they send you a rebuilt monitor right back. Okay? But that's the only way you can actually fix the guts of this is by going to Reman. Normally I'm telling you that, and you asked, I was with a guy, I don't know where I was, somewhere in Georgia, and they had this sent his monitor into Ag Express for $494, and he got it back and it did exactly the same thing he did when he sent it in. They can't fix the motherboard, so they just wasted money. All right, so if you got a real problem, go to Reman, okay? But what we do, and this is what I told those guys at the parts counter in Georgia, when you go to buy a new monitor for your baler, how big these old ones, you buy the BE number. You know how we always give you a BE number, that's a bundle? You buy the BE. The wiring harness comes with the monitor then. If you buy this 2 parts, you get this, and then I have to buy the wiring harness 3 parts. See the bottom of the monitor is different, that's square and one's round. So I end up buying 2 pieces. This costs $1,500, the wiring harness costs about $1,200. If I buy it as a BE number, I get both of them for $1,500. Don't tell anybody I told you that. John Deere will fix that pretty quick. But it's a good buy right now, okay? But they won't let that go very long. Because that's, you know, so instead of getting $2,700, they're only getting $1,500. They'll catch on to that really fast. Especially when they sell about 15 or 20 of them.
Nah,
Somebody will
takes
figure
them
that out.
2 years to catch up.
Huh?
Takes them 2 years. to
Yeah,
catch up.
well, that's about right. We think they're fast, but they'll catch on. But anyway, that gets you there. So just remember, you can't do that. The slip touch alert, speed compensation kit, a B-wrap, you have to have it on your baler, or a B-wrap doesn't work. On a 7 series or an 8 series baler, this slip touch alert speed compensation kit was an option. So it just kind of depends on how you guys sold balers out of this store. But this, if you open this shield up, there'll be this magnetic sensor here. It'll be a bracket. The old balers have a green bracket. This sensor is counting tone, or fins on those tones, counting the fins on the slip touch housing for tones for the baler. And then you'll have a tone wheel here on the pickup drive. Okay? You have to have that to run B-Wrap. So somebody that's going to put B-Wrap on a 7 series, he's got the right monitor. He may not have this on his baler. He'll have to buy this kit too. That's about a $350 kit. And you have to put it on. Then the B-Wrap kit will cost him about $420. And B-Wrap is different than net. Net is a time-based system. The computer knows how big your bale is. It assumes you're turning it at rate PTO speed, so it knows how long to run the actuator to put 2 wraps on the bale or whatever number you put in there. Okay? B-Wrap isn't a time-based system. B-Wrap is a measured amount that goes on the bale. And then it cuts off, so the measured amount is ready for the next bale. Okay? So this tone wheel, what we're doing is counting the pulses from the tone wheels. It knows it has to hear so many tones, then it cuts off. Okay? So B-Wrap is a measured amount of material that goes on the bale. Don't change it. It's the same from a 60-inch bale up to a 68-inch bale. The same amount goes on whatever size bale you make. Okay? So you gotta have this to run B-Wrap. We probably got cases last year, 4 or 5 people got B-Wrap on, went home, started baling, and in about 5 bales, the B-Wrap's cutting off in the wrong place. Okay?
Now, do the new balers already have that on it?
The brand new 2016 balers will have B-Wrap kits on them. This slip clutch alert speed compensation kit started standard about 2010. So anything from 2010 will have this kit on. So some guys can put B-Wrap on an old baler for $400. Other guys are going to spend $800 on B-Wrap. Okay? This, to me, even if the guy doesn't run B-Wrap, I like this kit in the baler. It does 2 things for you. If there's ever a 10% slip between that clutch and this clutch, so I'm baling along, I've almost got my baler plugged up. When this pickup drive clutch is slipping, you got the air conditioner on in there, radio on, you can't hear it slip. It's just sitting here going like that. I'm not quite plugged up, but I'm almost plugged up. There's only so many in there. So the longer you let it go, the easier it's going to go the next time. And you'll buy one of these clutches. And I'm not sure about that clutch, but I think it's about $500. And there's no fix to it. It's just a new clutch. If I had this on here, the monitor would tell me that it's slipping. I could just push the clutch in, throttle back, something, speed back up, start bailing. And guess what? These would last me a lot longer because I know they're going off. So that helps that clutch, life of that clutch a lot. So I like it for that. The other thing that this kit does for you, and this was kind of in that video about the number of net wraps. When I take off baling and I put this monitor on too, that computer chip in the baler is pretty smart, but it's not a genius, okay? It knows how big it is, okay? It knows I want 2 wraps on it, but it assumes you're turning it at 2100 RPM, okay, engine RPM. But if I'm doing something less than that, the bale's not turning as fast in the chamber, it doesn't know that, so I end up with less net on that bale of hay, okay, than what my monitor says. That's why in the monitor, if you run it 1500 or in the operator's manual, there's a little chart. So if you run your engine at 15, you put your monitor at 2.9. If you run at 18, put it at 2.7. Then you'll get 2 wraps, okay? The speed compensation part of this kit now makes your monitor a lot smarter. By the tones coming off these tone wheels, now I know it's 72 inches tall. I know you're turning it at 1500 RPMs, and I know you want 2 wraps. So it will run the actuator long enough to get 2 wraps, even at reduced engine RPM. So you don't have to ever change those numbers, okay? It's a good option to have on the baler. I like it. It saves me money in the end. But with B-Wrap, it's whatever you've got to have, okay? So somebody, when Amber sells a B-Wrap kit to a customer at the parts counter, and you guys go to put it on, somebody's got to look and make sure it's got a slip clutch alert kit on its old baler, okay? This kit is standard since 2010, but it only comes with a Mega Wide Plus pickup, okay? And if you got a regular pickup on a baler, you won't have it. But you can't put B-Wrap on that anyway, so it doesn't make any difference, okay? All right, so we got that. You got to have a slip clutch alert, speed compensation kit, and the right model. Then you can do it, okay? The B-Wrap kit. I lost half my kit yet. This was about get this bracket. In the car, on the right side, the big door,
Okay,
laying right on the floor.
okay.
You get this bracket, and then we're going to mount a sensor to this bracket. This sensor is going to read a metal tag on the B-Wrap. Okay, so when that metal tag goes by this sensor, it knows that there's so many more pulses from the tone wheels, and then it's going to cut your net off. Okay. Okay, so when he gets, well, let's go over here. Yeah. When he gets back here, I'll show you, but this mounts. So putting the kit on, $424 this price, it will take you an hour the first time you go put it on. After that, I'll do it. This is the sensor. There's a couple of bolts that go down right there. And then there's hardware here. If you just take this bolt out right here, then that bolt's right on there. They give you a little longer bolt to put a clamp to hold the wire or so. So that bolt's right there just like that, okay? Then this wiring harness here, one end plugs into the sensor, and you just come up here, route it up here. You can use existing hardware. I always used to go ahead and take these nuts off and put my little thing on. I just put another bolt nut on. So you don't even have to do that. Just put your little clamp, put another nut on, tighten it up, piece of cake. So you go up there, you go up through this bracket here, follow the black plastic cable, and go right through that pipe, just like it does, to the other side. Okay? Now let's go to the other side. So this part right here, that doesn't take you a couple minutes. You probably ought to have a step ladder, so we're not tied up down the top.
They kept me
But then we're gonna come right out, the pipe is a little hard to see on the side, we're gonna come right out of that pipe, follow the big black plastic band, okay? This terminal here wires into the oversized bill switch. Okay, and this is gonna be your signal wire. So the one up there on that gold bracket, you have to take that bracket off to get to the switch, to put this on the switch, okay? So, you take a Sharpie, and that's your oversized bail, it's an adjustment. Take a Sharpie, outline that bracket, make your mark so you know where the cap screws go, hold the switch to the bracket. So then there's one nut up at the top of that. I take that nut off, pull it out. The thing about taking that bracket off of that nut, that's a carriage head bolt and it's in a square hole. And sometimes they get twisted a little bit, they're locked in place, and sometimes they're loose. So if you're ramming and jamming, and you got the nut off there, you're gonna pull that off, I push that bolt out, falls down through the baler, and you ain't gonna find it. So just take your time when you pull that bracket off. You can reach up over the top, put a piece of duct tape there, and pull it down on the inside. But if you see what I'm saying, that little bolt at the top will fall out. So if you just take your time, it won't fall out, but you just need to be careful. Then this goes on to the center post of the switch up there. The instructions will mess you up a little bit because it'll say the yellow wire from this wiring harness goes to the yellow wire on that switch. That's why. We probably had 4 or 5 of these last year where the guys put the kit all on, read the instructions, well, there ain't no damn yellow wire. So he kind of quit for a while, called DTAC something, and then he come back and finished everything else up, and they forgot to hook these up. That's your signal wire, so then we don't know what the hell happened, so it's got to be hooked up. Okay, so you got to hook that up. This end here comes down, so you get the power. So it comes right on down to the harness, goes right in, this will come right in here. Right inside here is a Y, that's your variable core plug-in on the old balers, or on the new balers. This end plugs into that variable core wire. Okay, so if it's really an old baler, that'll be packed pure full of dirt. You can't hardly get your arm in there. You got to dig around for 20 minutes to find it. And some goofball at the factory put a zip tie right at the end of it, so you can't even get it pulled off to get at it. So then you're trying to reach in there and cut that zip tie, and you can't even see what you're doing. But you'll finally get there. And I always run it back up. Just because I don't know what I'll do it next. It takes a second too long, but I run that plug right back up this hole. Not what it's setting up here in case I don't want to unplug it or do anything. Now this baler has a variable core option on it. You all know this piece right here? Okay. I got to plug B-Rap in that. So B-Rap and variable core don't go hand in hand. If I want to run variable core, I'm going to unplug the B-Rap, plug this back in. If I want to run B-Rap, I'm going to unplug this, plug in B-Rap. They can't do both at the same time. We don't think they both go hand in hand. Okay? A variable core makes a soft core baler. A soft core, salesman did a good job selling. Oh, they can't get the spear in the bale or something. The cows are, John Deere baler makes a bale so tight the cows can't pull the hay out of the bale. So they put a soft core on, make it easier to feed it. There is a reason for a soft core, but them two ain't it. But that's why it gets sold for today. When we first came out with it, they're a good option. And you can do this with a guy. The soft core kit is actually for starting bales that a guy doesn't run a mower conditioner in. He grows a crop, he gets this tall, he runs a disc mower, lays it out there on the ground. And you go back to bale that sometimes, that crop will go up in your baler like this, and just stand up like this. It will never bend over. It'll plug you up, it'll eventually push you out. So you get out and open the gate, and all the hay's in the baler just like this, stand straight in there. How in the hell did that even happen? Well, conditioned hay has a little crimps or breaks in it, and it bends over easier. And that's how stuff works. So if you put a variable core kit on that baler, it can help start those bales. You don't even have to get the kit on to try it. We used to do this all the time before we had it. You go out to the guy's place, and he's doing that. You just have him get to the edge of the windrow, take this valve and open it up all the way. okay? Then you have him pull forward, pull into the hay, and if he can get the core started in 25, 30 feet, stop him, tighten his back up, we'll make his bale. Do that 2 or 3 times, a variable core kit would help that. That's all that's doing is logging off the hydraulic pressure. It gives that crop time to just break over and bend up. And it starts baling. So a lot of people buy this, and I'll tell you, a lot of people had it on their baler, never been turned on, never been touched. So it just kind of depends on people. I met guys that had a hard time spearing bale. Sometimes when you make a 4x6 bale, and you try to spear them, it's a little bit of a hillside, it's really to tip them over. So maybe, there might be a reason a guy does that. I don't mind the variable core kit, but I think it defeats what I'm trying to do. And this goes into, this is a whole day of hay matching, okay? Remember when we talked about bale formation, I had all that drawing? So, a John Deere baler, what we do better than anybody else is make it a very tight, dense core. It only takes 6 or 8 inches of hay to come across the pickup, and a John Deere baler, the belts have got control of that hay. The faster I can get full control of the hay and make it do what I want it to do, the easier it is to start a baler. The easier it is to start a bale, it's easier for me to run a baler. I like a John Deere baler really good. Plus the core is the foundation of the bale. It's like the basement's the foundation of your house. So the tighter the denser I make that core, the better this bale's gonna stand up and stay around. Why do I want it to stand up and stay around? Because I'm storing them outdoors. I want them to shed water. It is really, it's not for me, it's not for the John Deere guy, it's not for the customer, it's for the cow. The better that does all that stuff, the better the quality hay is in that bale. The better that cow's gonna like that bale. All of this, what I just told you, is absolutely lost. I've stood in front of 400 people in the last year and asked them about stuff like that, John Deere people. They don't even know what I'm talking about. And those are the things that made people buy a John Deere baler starting in 1982. We did that better than any other company. The balers work so much easier than anybody else's baler. And all I had to do was tell you as a group of farmers, we go to the field and demonstrate it. 61% of you would buy a John Deere baler because it was that much better than anything else. And that is all lost. If you ask anybody about a staggered belt roll design, starting a bale on a pickup, if they don't know somebody old like me, a salesman would never tell you any of that stuff because he'd never heard it. And that is why you buy a John Deere baler. I don't even work for John Deere anymore, right? Yeah. Okay. A John Deere advertising guy wrote me an email yesterday. And he had this little thing. It's a 30-second radio ad that they're doing. And you start talking about how these belts are on the baler and what it does for you. And it's going to put 3% more hay in my bale than the competitor's baler. What? Who in the hell gives a shit about that? And I read this thing 2 or 3 times. And I thought, well, first I thought, why did he send this to me? You want to know my opinion of it? No. So I must be getting old. Because I read it and I thought, that doesn't even make any sense, and who cares? But I care about how closely spaced my belts are. I cover 91% of the bale with bale surface. The idea of that is to keep the leaves and the short blade material of my grass hay in the bale so let it fall out on the ground and get it in the bale. It gives me better quality hay to feed my cows. That's a selling feature. Okay? The other people have wider spaces between their belts, more stuff falls out. So I just wrote all that back in there. So I want to see what he sends back to me. I said, this is what you just said, kind of side and say. This doesn't make any sense, but here I changed it to do this. Tell me why this part of the John Deere is better than somebody else's. Then you might sell one.
Now, you can just have that missile line up there and get more hay in.
Exactly. There you go.
You made a misstatement there, Ron.
Okay, good.
You're doing more work for John Deere now for nothing.
Yeah,
than
for
you've
nothing.
ever done in your life.
I should have kept there. Actually, I brought my paper. I should have. Had I known that I should be doing the same damn thing I did for 30 years, I'd still be doing it.
Still doing it when you're retired.
Yeah. No,
I was retired.
that's actually stupid. Anybody ever ask me if you want a part-time job? Say hell no. Because this has been more full-time than any part-time job you could ever get. Okay, so putting the B-Wrap kit on, pretty easy, take you an hour, okay? Now, you got one more step to do. Depending on the version of baler monitor you get, there's a computer chip in here.
Where's your white gloves?
Yeah, there you go. I even lost the case. But that's the computer chip that goes in the monitor. And they're making fun, but they are little white gloves. And, you know, you put these little white gloves on, static, anti-static bracelet, and then you're gonna change the shift. I have done a lot of them outside in the summertime. I don't mess with all that. If I'm dirty, I put the gloves on, because the oil and grease on you. But if you're working in the shop, it's been all winter and the heat's been running, it's pretty dry in here, static electricity will mess them up. And I mean, all you gotta do is touch them, and that chip is shot. So you can ruin them, so it's better just be a little cautious and go. So you guys have changed them, put them in. There's been a couple PIPs over the years where we had to open them on out and take them out and replace them.
The one I didn't have that picture.
There you go. Now that's John Deere, and we were talking about this earlier today. We love to mess you guys up. So this monitor that I have, you guys look the other way from me.
Yeah, he's gonna switch them.
Okay. I switched these around really fast.
Yeah.
One of these is a 2003 model year monitor, and the other one is a 2015 model year monitor. Can you tell any difference between them? And you can't tell by one, okay? Yeah, see that one? I got full complement of pins, every hole's got a pin in it. Let's see what this one is. I don't know. But this is how we really mess you up. Again, I gotta blame it on the young kids. At John Deere, we used to keep track, every time we change something, there'd be a serial number break. You know that in parts, all you always gotta know is that serial. So this one, somebody decided not to keep track of the serial number. So, this is confusing, yeah, it's confusing as, this is what you ran into when you went to do it. See this one here? It don't have all the pins. This is a replaceable EEPROM monitor. So that means I'm going to split this one, change out that computer chip. That one is a programmable monitor. See all the pins? So this one I'm going to hook to a special wiring harness that I have to buy, to your EDL, to your computer, and download the BRAP program. Okay, and you can't tell any difference until you go to open them up. This doesn't even have the EEPROM in it. Or just look at the bottom and then you know which one you got. Now there won't be very many of those. In fact, yesterday they got kind of on our hind end because we made them buy a wiring harness for $100 and some, and they've never had one Baler like that yet. They will. There's only probably 3 months of these where you got to have that wiring harness. Then they decided, well, we'll just put the BRAP program on here. So there's Baler that started coming in the middle of last summer, already got the BRAP program in the monitor, they just want the kid on the Baler. So it's just confusing as hell as soon as you get started. Which one do I got? What am I supposed to do? So what I do anymore is I just hook them up. Basically, I like this, but if I didn't want them looking at it, I just hook them up. I go to channel 203 when I got the Baler all hooked up. And if it will go to BRAP, I know it's already in there. If it doesn't, then I've got to decide I'm going to download it or change the channel. Okay, but if you just look at the bottom, it tells you right off. Okay, it's normally there'd be a serial number break in the instructions. You know which one of these you got. They don't even know for sure. Actually, they don't even know for sure when they start putting this one on Balers, and they don't even know for sure when they put the BRAP program on. Yeah, last week I was somewhere and there was an early 2015 model year Baler. Had the BRAP program on. So there's no possible way John Deere sent that out, but they did. If you ask them, there's no way. But by God, I can get it myself. I saw it. And I can't beat it. That serial number, we didn't do that. I'm looking right at it. Had the serial number on the box. I'm looking right at it. They didn't even know. They didn't even know they did. So it's just a pain in the butt. Okay? But anyway, it's easy. If we had to split this, you just use a torque bit, pull it apart. The only trick about changing that EEPROM, there's no trick. That little tool, that toothpick that comes with it, you just hook that in and you pull that EEPROM right up. Don't use it like a pry bar. That chip will come out pretty easy. I did this once. I used it kind of like a pry bar. I got in one corner and just kind of pried down on the little brown housing that goes around it. And I broke the housing. Yep. And then that, I had to send that to remand. I think it fits. So just use it like it, pull it up like a fish hook and pull it out. When you push the new one down, they only go one way. When you push it down in there, you'll hear it kind of go click. You'll feel it almost. Don't just stop there. Give it just a little more and it'll probably click again. That first little click, the tines are just kind of opening up to go in. You'll think it's seated all the way down, but it's not. So just kind of make sure you have enough pressure to put it in. What will happen then is when you go turn it on, some of the stuff will light up, some stuff won't work, and you just got to open it up again and shut it down. We've had that happen probably 3 or 4 times. All right, so that's all pretty easy, okay? Really, how long did it take you to put a kit on? You think? A little over an hour. The first time you do it, it'll be an hour, the first time you do it. Wait a minute now, I just stole your monitor. You all know about, there is a timing mark on these couplers. See that dash on there? One of the biggest things we get D-tag on, or just working with D-RAM. Guys will plug this harness into the baler, and you know, you gotta look, figure out where the pins are or not. Some guys will probably just get kind of tired of trying, they just ram them together, and they'll push pins back, so they don't make connections. Something on the monitor doesn't work. So in pre-delivery, I don't think it's a bad idea to find a timing mark. Take one of those little white pig pins or something and put a dot on there, just like he's got in his pocket. And then that way the customer always knows this line up the pins. If they just look at those timing markers, like this, the timing mark goes in the face of the monitor. When it's right there. Now I'm never going to push pins back. That's a good idea with the pin. Okay? Alright. Now, we got VRAP all installed on the baler. Now we're going to set the monitor up to make sure it's all ready to run VRAP. Okay? So, first thing is, when you turn this on, reach in that door, turn that key on. Alright, oh, okay. You have to do this, okay? If you're putting it on an old baler, you need to do every bit of this. If it's a brand new one, most of the stuff will be set up because the slip clutch alert kit and everything's already on. But we're going to turn VRAP on, okay? So I'm just getting ready. So I'll turn the monitor on, make sure it's on 469, everything's good. You know about switching between twine and net? I want to go back to net or twine. That twine bell pop up there. Anybody know why it isn't doing it? Keep staying on net. I want to go to twine. We get probably 4 or 5 monitors. John Deere gets 4 or 5 monitors back every year, so they won't switch between twine or net.
Hold it for 3 seconds, right?
Amen. Hit that, hold it 3 seconds, you're going to hear a beep beep. Now it'll switch. People just don't hold it long enough to hear the beep beep. Okay? It's in the operator's manual, but they miss it. It used to even be on that little card in the back. I don't know if it's still there or not. But anyway, you want to make sure you're in net mode if you're going to be doing that. So. All right, so we're going to go to VRAP for the first time. We just got the kit on, turn the monitor off. There's no button out here for VRAP, okay, turn it on or off. So we're going to go to the channels. 203 is the channel in the monitor that controls the net wrap unit, okay? So that's where VRAP's going to be. So what you do is just hold the 1, 2, 3 bell count and the number of wraps, those 2 buttons. 2 buttons, 200, okay, 200 level channels. So you hold, that's how I remember, I'm getting that old. So now it says CH201 there, right? So I want to scroll up to 203, so I just hold the 1, 2, 3. Plus key up to 203. There it says 1. 1 means net wrap. Hit the plus key. Son of a gun. Okay, no VRAP on here. I got to change the chip. Okay? So, we're not going to do that.
And luckily, this will be with the monitor. Right?
Yeah, that's coming with them now. Hand me my monitor. That's your monitor. Here, we have to split that monitor. Yeah, we have to split that monitor and put the VRAP kit, the chip in. Oh, dang, I go blind all of a sudden? Yeah, where's your fake pen? Oh, you got your, okay. All right, so go VRAP. This may be on VRAP already, I don't know. No, yeah, it is. Let me change this. I'm gonna have y'all confused. Because it won't look like that when you put the VRAP kit on. Yeah, you gotta put the VRAP on. One thing you'll do in the setup instructions, it'll tell you to verify the settings on channel 35, 34, 35, and 37. Okay? And if you don't have it in VRAP mode, There is no 34, 35, and 37. So you gotta get the B-rep before you can do all this stuff. Okay. So, hold those safety buttons, turn it on. Hold the 1, 2, 3, we're gonna scroll up to 203. You just hit the plus key, and that 1 changes to B1. Turn the monitor off, turn it back on, and now you'll see that little lowercase b there. That means you're in B-rep mode. So basically, you're about set up, okay? Now, we're gonna check and verify, because B-rep doesn't work if the slip clutch alert kit's not turned on or that it's all working. So we're gonna verify that that's all set up right before we ever put the first piece of B-rep in this baler, okay? All of these channels for all the settings of the clutches are on 200 level channels too. So we're just gonna go right up to channel 204. Right, turn that on. We gotta go to channel 2, that's Bill count. We gotta go to channel 204, okay? So, we're gonna scroll up to 204, and that says 540. It may be on 0 when you start out. 540, this baler's a 540 RPM baler. If it's 1,000, I change that to 1,000. If it's on 0, the slip clutch alert kit is turned off. If it's on 0, B-rep will not work, because I'm not counting any tones from these tone wheels because you set it off. So you gotta have it on 540 or 1,000, okay? Whatever the baler is. All right, channel 205 is that tone wheel there. If it was running at rated PTO speed, that shaft would be turning at 310 RPM. That's the same on all balers, every model you ever go do, 310, okay? When you go to channel 204 or 206, I'm having a hard time upside down. 206, there's 24 in there. That's the same on all balers, all models, everything you ever do. That's how many fins on that clutch. And it's the same on all balers, 24. Here's what you gotta know, 207, okay? 207 is 10. That's the number of teeth on that tone wheel. Again, engineers like you guys will be guessing all the time what you're supposed to do. They changed the number of teeth on that tone wheel with every model of balers we've had since the 7 Series. So a 7 Series baler will have 24 teeth. An 8 Series baler has 21 teeth. A 9 Series baler has 10. Okay? So that is defaults to the model number. So if I had this on a 567, it would say 24 there. Okay? But what if I didn't have the slip clutch alert kit on this baler and I have to install it? And I install a new one. I go to the parts count, BE32327. You hand us the kit. I come back here and put it on the baler. What model of balers are we building today? 9 Series baler. She got me a new kit. I open the box up. It's going to have that tone wheel in it. It's got 10 teeth. The monitor is looking for 24. Okay? So if I leave this on 24 and only have 10 teeth there, as soon as you engage the PTO, this baby's going to say slip. And you can do everything you want to do for the rest of your life, and all it's going to do is say slip. Until you physically go in to channel 207, change 24 to 10, or 21, or vice versa. And they might have had an old kit in stock for a long time, it might have 24 teeth. And you go install it on a 9 Series. So you got to pay attention to the number of teeth on that tone wheel. Now, that affects everything I want to do, okay? The default should be with that, whatever number you put in there, that's what it should, everything should default to that. But they didn't do it, they did it with model. So, what I would do if it was me, if I put a 10-tooth tone wheel on a 467, okay, I would just change the model number of this guy's 467 in here to a 469. That will change all the default codes in the monitor. It'll do that for a 10-tooth tone wheel automatically. And I don't have to go in here and mess with a whole bunch of different numbers. It just does it automatically. Okay? So the guy would have to understand it now. His monitor, when he turns it on, is going to say 469, but it doesn't hurt anything. Baler's going to look the same. But that saves me from having to do all that extra work. And it's when you start transferring these numbers and changing them, that's where we really mess stuff up. So that's just an easy way past that, okay? That makes sense? A lot of stuff. The book we're going to give you about BREP has all that in it, okay? But you got to make sure it's all right and working, okay? What you'll find on most old balers when you put a BREP kit on, all this will be there, and that channel 204 will almost always be on. They got it shut off. Why? Because they're getting slipped on. You may not ever have the right numbers on that channel 207, and it said slip all the time, so they just shut it off. And it's not even doing it when they do it. So I tell you, about 90% of my bid with are on 0. 4 of those 2 scissors are bad. So take scissors with you and put them on. Okay. When it's wrapping the bale, B-wrap is a little bit different than net wrap. Okay. When it starts to wrap down in this corner by the bale sides, you'll actually see a series of numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pop up down there. I like it. It tells me something if you know what it means. 1 means the net wrap actuator is moving, so the system is working. 2, the net's going in the baler. 3, the system saw the leading edge of the metal tag. 4, it saw the back edge of the metal tag. 5, the actuator is coming home. 6, the net is cut off. And at the same time that 6 pops up, you're going to hear 4 beeps. Beep, 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 beep. On the 4th beep, we're asking you to disengage the PTO. So disengage the PTO on the 4th beep. That way, when I keep the bale out, it's going to roll out the bale and the seam of the black material will be positioned on the roof of the house, like this. So that fits up here, one up the seam. If it goes in like this, way, put it in. The computer chip, you can do that, a lot smarter than the old one. He can figure out where that seam is, the overlap, while the bale's in the bale. So every time you let the B-wrap, you're asking to disengage the PTO. And on the big balers, you're going to disengage the push valve because that's where a roll down there will change that position. So I see you really thinking.
You can adjust it. It was pretty easy.
Very easy.
Yep. You just had to do 3 quarters. And it's pretty neat how it'll lay it where you need it.
Yeah. It's, but it is, we're asking you to run a baler like we used to do old balers.
Yeah, hard on PTO.
Yeah, yeah, we're telling you to shut it off. Well, but now if you do electronic PTO.
The thing is, there's no easing these on.
They're either on or off, but if you're talking to guys from Waterloo, that's fine, they'll last you forever. I don't work at Waterloo. Yeah, I don't work at Waterloo, but that's what they say. Okay. But all I'm doing is positioning this seam, so you kind of see how that water run over that, kind of the edge of the bale. This way water runs in.
You gotta keep in mind, you got like 4 foot. I mean, that's.
Oh yeah, it can be.
4 foot.
It can be from the top of the bale all the way around to the bottom. But you control that by the beep and shut the PTO off. So if somebody will ask me, why do I have to shut the PTO off the beater? The reason you do is to position this seam so the water doesn't run your bale. If I'm willing to pay $6, $8 more for a bale, I'll probably pay more attention to this seam. You know, that's how it works. Premium baler, that's all automatic. But I can't do all that automatic stuff with these balers and old tractors. So this is a way you can rewrap on old stuff. Not new, but it's more like running a baler like we used to. So when it's wrapping, you have to take some. No. Okay, because when it's wrapping, I'm backing up. And I'm getting sideways to the hill if I'm on a hillside. So I was wrapping, I'm backing up. When it's done wrapping, I shut the PTO off, open the gate. The bale goes out, I pull forward, I engage the PTO, close the gate, take off. It might take you 3 seconds to bale. So in 20 bales, that's a minute.
Is it 6 wraps?
4 wraps, roughly. Yeah. About 4 wraps. It's not quite 4 wraps all. On these lower balers, 4 foot 5 it'll be 4. You put 2 wraps on those little times, 2 versus 6 or 4. But if you put 4 and 4, save a lot. We timed the guy to do the corn stalks. I don't know how many hundreds of bales. I think the average is on 2.8 seconds long.
Another hole.
But when you move them, you gotta keep an eye on how you move them too.
That's right. You want to pick them up in the spear, however they're sitting on the ground?
Yeah,
Double
double
spin 'em.
spear's
Yeah.
probably the best.
Double spear is the only way to do it. All right, come back here. Because most of you have never seen a B-wrap.
lots of sponge.
Oh, there, oh, great. Some big strong guy go there and grab that little tiny little bead. How'd that get over there?
We're wrapping this up real quick, and then we'll jump into the customer stuff.
You parts people don't want to forget about showing you this right here. Okay? You stand right there and hold it. Otherwise you'll forget and I'll forget again. All right, VRAP, all that loading stuff, everything we talked about earlier is exactly the same, okay? Got a dark green stripe, white stripe goes to the right, there's a blue and white decal marks to the right and in. But when this is, now we're going backwards, it'd be going the other way, but to show you what a portion is, the VRAP. So it starts feeding in the baler just like net wrap, okay? Exactly the same thing, net's feeding in, that's the way my net wrap is. After you get, this is almost one layer of net in the big one, pretty close. But the SCM, or the VRAP material, is just taped to the net. See the tape? This is too slick to go in the baler by itself. So that's why it's attached to the net to go in, okay? There's enough of that black stuff. We'll go around a 68-inch diameter bale, one time. Now, right there, Don, put that net over, the black. Hold it over this way. Keep going. There's that white little metal tag that the sensor is going to read, okay? So when that goes by, the computer knows it's supposed to hear so many more pulses that it'll cut that net off. After that. So that goes by. See the white tape right there on his end? Next is in. When this material overlaps itself and the bale's made, that white tape is where the seam is going to be. Nope, keep going. So this all goes on the bale, okay? So I can't keep up with it. Now, there's two layers of net on the outside of the bead. Okay? So this holds that bale together. All right, now those little white pieces of tape there, that's Velcro, called Velcro fasteners. It's actually Velcro tape. Just get a hold of them for you. They're so strong. Now, all this will go on the bale. Now that black stuff is so slick, and there's no hay poking through the net to hold it in together. So those actually fasten the cut in of the net to the bale. So that would cut off right past those Velcro. Okay, so take your knife and cut that off right up there. Just about a foot past it, yep.
With that, you can feel the little hooks on that, right here.
So that's where it was cut off right there. And all this goes on that bale head.
All that's on that one.
All that goes on that one bale. Okay? So it's almost four wraps of net, basically. But then the black stuff just embedded in the net. So, how many bales of B-wrap can I make on one roll? There's 45 portions of B-wrap on that roll. 45. Okay. Adding this little bit of black stuff in here 45 times changes the diameter of that roll. That roll can only be so big around, or it doesn't work in the baler. So that limits it, and also the weight. Having that little piece of black in there increases the weight. So that roll weighs exactly the same thing as the roll net, and the diameter is about as big as I can make it, or it doesn't work in the baler. So that's what limits the number of rolls. Okay. That all makes sense?
Let's show them how.
Now, the secret, the secret to be is the black material.
Now, let's say we got half of it.
Half a bale.
And those two other ones.
If I'm heading to the field, I'm not gonna leave it in there and make it better bale. But if not, if I got a wrap, so that's what I got today, I hit the wrap button, and it's just gonna have more black around that bale. The same amount of material goes on any bale you make. Okay? And I can tell you this, we do know that the more black you put around the bale, the better it will work. Okay? But what Rex has got there is kind of how they kept it at the factory. And this is the key. This is what took 15 years to develop. The black material is a breathable plastic film. Okay? So when this bale goes through its natural sweat, it's giving off moisture. This material will let the moisture from the bale get away, go outside. When it starts raining and snowing, that moisture doesn't get back in. So Rex is that's rainwater on the top, the bale's on the bottom, you don't see rainwater. He's just going to pump a little air in there just to show you.
It is leaking on the seam,
Yeah.
the gasket, but it doesn't go through the.
It's not down in the bottom part.
Right.
It's coming out of the top. So if he pumps that air in there, you see all those little bubbles coming up? So that shows you the water vapors from the plants can get out, but this rain ain't getting back in. Now what makes that so great, and the big deal about that, is when we actually started with NetVac, remember I told you this all has been going on for the whole time I worked with John Deere. We started before NetVac with a solid sheet of plastic. That baler will put plastic on it, okay? So when we started with solid sheet of plastic, it took about 2 days to figure out that wasn't gonna work. Because once that bale starts going through that sweat, if you got a solid sheet of plastic on there, you're trapping the moisture that the bale's giving off between the bale and the plastic. The kid in the video that tried it with silage film, he said it got a snotty layer on it, and it's just white, slimy mold all over the bale. You can't get rid of it. We've tried it a million times. Some days we can do it pretty good, other days we couldn't do it with a hood. So all this time of work, this solid sheet of plastic actually led into NetVac. We knew the plastic didn't work. Somebody had the idea, well, let's make it look like net, and all those little holes in the net will let the moisture out, and some moisture will get in, but not as bad as twine. That's how NetVac came to be NetVac. Okay? So all that time after that, we've always been looking at something you can't even imagine all the things we put on bales today. From tie-back to cotton to polyethylene. I mean, you can't imagine all the stuff we put on bales today. We made thousands of bales of tie-back. Thought that was going to work pretty good. But it doesn't let enough moisture out fast enough. So it didn't work very well. So that black stuff is patented and it's completely developed by Amos. There's nobody else in the world going to have it now for a while, and that's the key to it. So you don't get that white slimy mold all over everything when you use Deere. Okay, that's what makes it different. The technology to make it really wasn't there until probably 5 years ago. So that's why we're trying all this other stuff, and all of a sudden somebody came on and hey, we do this, and it worked. You've all seen that the new hunting gear fog tower? You see it? If you take one of those jackets, they weigh like a half an ounce. You know, you can wad it up, put it in your pocket, and give it a shake, put it on, waterproof, everything. It feels exactly like that. It's not the same stuff, but it feels exactly the same. It's like you got paper on. But that's pretty much Baler. The idea is to keep that moisture out of the bale. I can keep that bale 18 months. It's going to be pretty much like the day I baled it up, or like it'd be sitting in this field. So that's what it's supposed to do for you. Thank you. Anything else we got to talk about on BRAP that I forgot?
I think that's got it
Because
covered.
we kind of started in there and came out here and went back and forth. Here, this is kind of why I did it this way. That net wrap unit has got to work, okay? And we've had probably 2 or 3 people that were having trouble with net wrap, and all of a sudden they said, I'm going to try BRAP. So they get by a roll of BRAP at $6 a bale, and they put it in a baler that's not working. It doesn't take very long to get very mad when I'm wasting $6 a bale versus a couple dollars a bale. And just because it costs more at the parts counter doesn't mean it's going to do anything any different. It works exactly like net wrap. That's, oh yeah, it's a sub, we got to get it all off there. Now, what I wanted to show you guys, we're selling at the parts counter. Why does this guy buy John Deere net? Kind of went through all that stuff. But also, a lot of dealers are selling a lot of John Deere net to New Holland and Vermeer Baler owners. Are you guys selling some to the New Holland guys?
Yes.
I haven't.
Say yes, but my God, it's going to be another hour if you don't.
Okay, yes.
Okay, yes, okay, you got it. You didn't see a panther. Okay.
No?
On this, remember when I showed you this string as being like a rubber band? Okay. That outside string on this net should put enough force on this cardboard tube that makes it dent. See that little dent in there? If you sell this roll to a New Holland guy or a Vermeer guy, and he takes it home and put it in his baler, they use the inside diameter of that core. It has to slide up onto a wedge in their baler. So he bought this roll from you because it's better net. They know it's better net. So they buy it, but now I can't slide that up on that thing because that big bump in there. I gotta take a pocket knife and whittle that out of there, or I gotta bring this roll back to you, and then we'll go back into the barn here, We'll find one that doesn't have a bump, and I sell it to him, okay? So on John Deere, that doesn't matter, I don't give a crap what the inside of that tube looks like. But New Holland and Weir both use the inside, okay?
Okay.
So to show you how much net we're starting to sell to their customers, this is not cardboard anymore. That's got a plastic sleeve in it about this long. It's cardboard in the middle, but out here is plastic. It's hard, so that little string doesn't collapse the inside.
Okay.
So the Vermeer New Holland guy can slide this in their baler a lot easier than he used to.
Okay.
And you don't have to sort rolls.
Or cut it out.
Or cut it out. Has nothing to do with John Deere. So my story is, if the Vermeer New Holland guy figured out my net is better, where's the salesman? You a salesman? Don't you think a salesman ought to be telling him how good a John Deere baler is? If he's figured out my net's better, he ought to try my baler. That gives you guys a perfect chance to talk to the guy about a baler. Everybody, if a New Holland guy wants everybody's net review, somebody ought to be calling him about a baler.
You guys putting B-Rap on New Holland?
No, right now, B-Rap is only exclusive to John Deere. The only place they can buy it is right here. And it's only exclusive to John Deere baler. Another thing that salesmen should be taking advantage of. Most of the time in this business, you don't have really big exclusive things over other people. And I guarantee you this, in my 36 years of doing this, if this was a John Deere intro and everybody was a John Deere dealer sitting here, and Vermeer had B-Rap and you didn't, you'd be squealing like a pig. You'd be saying, I'll never sell another baler again, we can't do that. We're gonna sell all the balers in the world if you guys don't have B-Rap. But every time it happens. I've done that for 36 years, now you know I'm retired. You guys ain't saying that stuff too. You gotta get so old to hearing that kind of stuff, you can't believe it. So, that's it. All right, I'm done.